call this meeting of the Belton Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Quorum of board members is present. This meeting's been duly called and posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Would join me in the pledge to the American flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. You may be seated. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's a week before school starts, so everyone is abuzz, and it's an exciting time. We're going to talk a little bit later, but before we get started, I just want to tell you, today was Project Apple Tree Distribution Day, and wow, lots of excitement was out there, and Amanda had her crew cheer team out helping, and an army of volunteers, including our lead administrators, district administrators were there, and what a great event for 1,400 of our students to receive school supplies and clothes to start school. Tremendous community event. So exciting times, and teachers all over the district. Stuff's going on. We'll hear a little bit more about that later, but it's a great time for us to be together. Principals, thanks for sneaking away and joining us tonight. It's always amazing that you can do that a week before school starts. So we understand if you're going to be on your laptops or iPads or whatever, as long as your phone doesn't go off, Pam. We're good. Okay. We are going to begin with a workshop and first report, very preliminary, I believe. Elementary school site report. Mr. Ramirez from WRA Architects is with us, and we're looking forward to hearing what you've got to share with us. And we understand it's I wanted to emphasize preliminary because we just haven't given you very long to start working on that. I tore my cover off. It's very sad. Now I can't even stay.
I just wanted to pass out a little placemat just for...
Make sure your microphone's on. Green light should go on.
There we go.
Great, thank you.
So I guess the first thing that I wanted to say is that we have met with the cities, Temple and Belton, and have developed some preliminary assessment of the four sites. And I guess first of all, I want to congratulate the board and everybody that's worked on the roadmap to 2025. That's kind of set a precedent for us as a roadmap for us as well to kind of guide and to kind of aim for. So. Let's see, how do I click? Oh, there it is. Okay, the first thing I wanted to point out was that we did look at the demographic study that was done and presented back in January of 2016. We talked to Bob Templeton and of Templeton Demographics, and we pulled this map from his study that he did, and essentially this map just shows in the district boundaries what developments are ongoing right now and which ones are planned for the future. So those are shown in the green and the yellow areas. And we took that information and kind of established a heat map. And again, on the left, there's the 10-year forecast from Mr. Templeton's presentation as of January. And we took that and took into account when all of your 9 schools are going to hit capacity. And as you can see on that map right there, that black and white map, the red dot is the one that's going to hit capacity first. And then the orange is the next, and then so on and so on. So it kind of pulls into focus that those 3 schools there in the center of Belton and just north of Belton are the ones that are going to be at capacity the soonest. And I think that's happening by 2020, if I remember correctly on that. So from there, again, we took a look at all the 4 sites and where they are, and those are shown in the green dots on this map in relation to the other schools that are around there as well. And the first city that we talked to was the city of Temple, and we looked at Northgate and Poison Oak. And starting from Northgate, we took a look at that one first. And we looked at, essentially, at every site, we looked at utilities, setbacks, future development that may happen, and ongoing development now, of course, the residential development, but also the streets that are being put in. We looked at frontage on the roads, access to the roads, proximity to other schools, proximity to those developments. And at the end, I'm going to present each four of these sites individually, and at the end of these maps, these drawings, I'm going to go into the pros and cons list of each one. So on this one, this is a utility map that shows that there's this 8-inch water line on Pea Ridge and nothing else. There's no other utilities, there's no sewer. There is frontage access to North Pea Ridge Road, and that's the only frontage that's there now. There is a road that's planned there that's going to go on the southern side, which is shown there on the yellow dash line. That is going to be a future collector road, but that's not scheduled by the city yet. So it's in the plans for their thoroughfare, but it's not evident yet. And then the other thing I showed on all these drawings is an aerial of the last elementary school that you guys did that was at High Ridge Elementary. And just to get a sense of scale as to, yeah. So yeah, even though I think this is a really good site for a future elementary school, and especially with that future collector road that's going to go right in front of that school. So that's what we found for this site. As far as topography, it's relatively flat, so it's good to have as a potential site for prototype. If we're going to do a prototype school, then this is going to be an easier site to develop so that it can fit any size, any typical layout. This is the pros and cons list. So we have on the pros list, we said we had an 8-inch water line on Pea Ridge. We have good street access on Pea Ridge, although it's only on Pea Ridge, which is on the cons list over here also. It's potentially surrounded by the residential. It's got a future collector road, and there's no extreme topography, and it's near the development. But on the con side, there's no sewer available, and there's no plans for that future road by the city yet. And there's only that one connection. And that road is not scheduled to go in until 2019. The other thing about this site is that it's near the boundary of Belton ISD on the northern edge, and that there's a little bit of a concern with that just because it's going to cause a lot more busing coming in. So that was number 6 on the list, is that going to require busing.
This is targeted for 2019, so Brent mentioned on Pea Ridge, not really scheduled until 2019. 2019 is when we would need it, so.
Yeah, but it would only be because it still only provides access from one road.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
connector, not there.
Right, and the south connector is the one that I think would provide better access, but until that one's developed, but it's still a potential, it's still on the list, obviously, but, yeah.
I'll let you know that future collector road that's to the south of that site, more than likely is going to be on the north of the site,
Okay,
because I'm working on the plat to the west of there, into the site doesn't work with our plat.
okay,
We have to bring that through the middle of the land we're developing, so those are only, I guess, guidelines by the city, so it's kind of how the plats work, but it won't be on the south side of that.
okay, good.
Okay, good to know.
So the next one we looked at was Poison Oak. And this, again, is a really good site as it stands now. We do have utilities. We do have water there now all around the site. We have sewer all around the site. We have a lot of good residential streets to tie in around the site. And that works well for the neighborhood, but for busing and parent traffic to drop off, they're going to have to access off of Poison Oak Road, and right now that street needs to be developed. That road, as it's shown here, and again, the yellow dashed line, is going to be improved by the city. However, the timeline for that is not established yet. And again, there is development all the way around, and there's a new development going on just north of this site as well. And again, it's also a relatively flat site to be able do a prototype school on this site as well. Makes it easy. So again, here's a list of pros and cons. It does have frontage on Poison Oak Road, and if and when it ever gets developed, it'll be perfect access for it for being dropped off and for buses. It's near good development. It's got good connections to the streets, has all the utilities, and it's in a high growth area, which is can relieve Pearl Elementary and Leon Heights, which were on that black and white map as being in danger of being, capacity. And the one big con on this one is that the road improvements on Poison Oak are not scheduled yet, so. The next meeting that we had was with the City of Belton, and we talked about the Second Avenue and the Hubbard Branch sites for this one. And the Second Avenue site is one we looked at first. This one does have access onto FM 36 there on the south. Is it FM 93? Is that right? Yeah, I knew. FM 93 on the south, and at 2 points. It does have water and sewer on FM 93, but it's going to require a lift station and there is already a lift station there for the ag barn, but it's probably not sufficient. One of the other things about this site is that it is bisected by an overhead power line, which is shown in that red stripe there. And it's a 100-foot wide easement, so that's just another thing we'll have to work with. And also, there's a large slope on this side, but there's a relatively flat, and I'll go to the building there. There's a relatively flat area right there where the building is, but this is a one-story building, which is probably not going to work out there very well because of the range and topography. So this is probably going to be a two-story, and unless a two-story is a prototype, it's going to be a custom-designed school. One of the cons of this site is, or several cons of this site, is that these roads are high-speed zone, or high-speed highways. There's a lot of traffic there now, and further studies required on this one to actually talk to TxDOT to see about the requirements of if we have to do a deceleration lane or not. So that's still one of the next steps we have to do.
I'm curious if, the apartment complex right across the street and the entrance, they just put in acceleration lanes and all that stuff into that, and they're literally under construction. They're about finished, I guess, but
Right.
they're working on that now, and I'm wondering what impact that has, because as I understand, they lined up their entry, that's an old picture.
Right.
They lined up their entry directly with where our road would be, our entry. Has that come up in any you're looking at?
We've discussed it. Yeah, we've discussed that development with the city, and we know that's going on.
There's no high speed on that. That's Second Avenue, at 30 mile an hour, I think, so it's not.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, it's
It's higher than you think, but it really is.
Oh,
It's 50 and it goes 50.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess it drops a little bit each, okay.
true. And the other thing about this one is that the neighborhoods, although there are some houses there to the north of this site, and of course there's going to be apartments across the street, and there's going to be residential there. There's low likelihood that pedestrian traffic would be, that would be a concern, I guess, is to have pedestrian access because they'll have to walk through these high-speed. So there's going to be a lot of consideration for dropping off kids and that kind of traffic.
We did spend some time working with the builder, developer of the apartment complex, and I believe we did get that driveway lined up. I'm looking at
Pretty
Phil.
sure.
We've spent quite a bit of time with him.
Okay,
Should
okay,
be
yeah,
pretty good direct access across the street.
direct across. For pedestrian access, you mean? Or just for
car
cars?
traffic or light,
Okay.
potential
intersection,
light
yeah.
intersection in the future.
True. Okay. And,
Reduced speed limit.
Yeah.
Maybe is the point.
and this is just a view of the topography on that side, and that it is a bit of a challenge there. And here's a list of pros and cons. That it is close to the city center. It's a pro. It's near the current and future development. There's that street access at 2 locations, which is good, and we have utilities at that location as also. And it's in a high growth area, which can relieve the enrollment for the south schools. And on the con side, that there's a lift station will be required. There's all the high voltage line that goes overhead, and the topography and the speed of the highways, and then the traffic congestion that's at that intersection as well. That's a concern. The next site we looked at was Hubbard Branch.
Back up
Yeah.
on that, because I want to make sure I understand that right. So, I understand they'll have to have the lift station, because we already did that. We did that, but, on the south side of FM 93, how big of a problem is that? What's the implication of that? Just because it's on the other side, you have to go underneath, or you've got a floor underneath, or does it increase the cost significantly?
In terms of the utilities, or
You made a point that a con is that the 10-inch sewer line's on the south side of FM 93.
Oh, no.
How big of a deal is that?
it's not, that's not a con. The con is that, let's see,
It says.
Number one.
right, the con really it should be just a one sentence. It's lift station will be required. That's the con,
Okay,
yeah.
so the rest of it's not, that's not a,
No, that's not a con. That's correct.
thank you.
Sure. The Hubbard Branch site is the other site that's in Belton, and this is also off of a major highway, but although it's going to be pushed back, and this is actually in a planned residential development. What you see in orange is the site, and in yellow, I believe, is an easement that was on the plat that was in the deed for the property. Again, here's just the relationship of a one-story elementary school on that site. This is a site that also will have utilities by the end of next year is what's planned. As far as what's in for the city to review, I think they're going to get revised drawings in for review here pretty soon. So we'll have water and sewer on 3 sides, basically, within a reasonable distance. There's a topography issue on this site, too, as it slopes up to the north, which is shown there. So it does limit the size of the building. That's probably going to be a 2-story elementary school as well. But that could also be worked out where maybe this and Second Avenue may be a prototype design as well for a 2-story school. One of the cons, I guess, that's on this one too is that this is a phased development, so it's not really a con. Well, I'll back up a little bit. On the utilities, when they bring in utilities off of FM 436, it's going to come from the northwest, and it's going to come right across our property. So even though it's not going to be in the phase 1 of the whole development, we'll have utilities there nearby still that we can tap into by next summer.
But their plan is to develop to
All-
the east, right?
Yeah, it'll start from the
Southeast.
southeast up to the northwest, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a ways off.
So, again, the utilities are going to be in there, so that's going to be a pro as of summer of next year. That's what's planned. The property and the utilities are already going to be sized for an elementary school by the developer, so that cost will not be there for the district. It's adjacent already to the imminent residential development, so that'll already have some good connections to neighborhood and for walkability and that kind of thing. And on the cons list, that there's a possibility, depending on how this lays out, that we'll have to have a lift station. And in fact, it looks like on the drawings from the developer that they're already going to put in a lift station at the north. They're at the north corner, which is the lowest point on our site. So hopefully we can connect to the south side and not need a lift station. One of the cons on this is that it's located pretty far from where you're going to need to have relief. It's in a medium growth rural area. And again, we're going to have to contact TxDOT to find out about the requirements for a deceleration lane on that site. What I'm told is that the development already went through this process, and for their amount of traffic that they're going to have, the impact that they're going to have, they don't need a deceleration lane, but I believe what I've heard is that they were told that if we have a school go in there, that they may require a deceleration lane. So that's one of those things I need to check out as well. But the development didn't require it, the school might.
That's interesting, because site in there before they went and got that approval even, so that's odd.
Yeah. The topography is also listed as a con on this site, the same reason as Second Avenue. It's just going to make it a little bit more challenging. And it's also close to Miller Heights Elementary School, which is in the same, just north of there, northwest of there. So that proximity is a bit of a concern, but again, in the future, when that, when that develops out, it'll be appropriate. So the next steps on all four of these is, for us, we're going to investigate construction costs for new roads and deceleration lane, pending what we find out from TxDOT. So we're going to discuss the future development of the FM roads, because they have some, from what I hear from the city, that they may have some improvements planned down the road, especially at Second Avenue. That may be coming down the pike, so we'll just need to verify that with TxDOT. We're also going to investigate utility costs, including the lift stations, for both of these sites in Belton. And the cost of building a one-story versus two-story. Two-story is going to be a little less expensive, but just because of foundation and everything else. But it's also going to cost a little more in that you're going to have some more square footage dedicated to stairs and elevator and that kind of thing. So a lot of times those things balance
I always heard that
out.
was kind of a wash. When
Yeah,
we looked at this
essentially they're-
before, it was like, well, you
Yeah.
know, you'd save money here and cost money, but it's a wash. So is that your experience?
Yes.
In building?
That's correct. And the other thing, the second to last point on here was that there's a smart school siting worksheet that we're going to start to kind of develop with input from the demographer. There's a lot of things that go into that worksheet for just ranking all four of these sites against each other, and it's using some quantifiable way to measure the impact of intersections, the impact of traffic, of just the whole demographic side of that equation into something that's non-biased and could help the district make a decision as to which site is better. And then, of course, we're going to investigate city codes, which, as I understand it, Temple and Belton are both going to be in 2015 codes by the end of this year or the end of next year, one of the two. I
Does
believe.
that mean
What is, yeah, what-
So 2015 building codes, essentially that brings in the requirement for storm shelters. And that's
yeah.
gonna increase the cost per square foot, where we have
I
a
haven't heard that
concrete
before. That's new.
bunker, essentially.
What's the implication of that? I mean, what's that mean? What's that look like on a practical basis?
If we try and approach it if we can design it to be a part of as much a part of the building as possible, as part of for example, in a high school where you have locker rooms, the locker rooms are already made of presumably CMU, and those.
Without windows?
Without windows,
Right,
exactly.
okay.
So you don't have as much
Okay.
extra cost in that, but in an elementary school where you don't have that type of construction, you'll have to build a part of it in that way, but do it strategically where you minimize doors and windows and any penetration access into that space, so that you don't have to pay extra for those things. And also, the cost for that square footage, regardless of how big it is, remind me, Weston, about how much percentage was it more for that versus typical square foot?
It's about 35.
About 35% more cost per square foot.
And how much of the school has to be designated in that capacity?
It varies. There's a formula within the building code of the ICC 500, that's a part of the 2015 codes. So again, that's just going to be more of this, the city code investigation that we'll have to do, and we'll present this at the next board meeting as to what those implications are.
That's news. That's new. Okay.
So, the last point I had to make was just the schedule. And this timeline shows, starting at the 2017 bond election, which is the red line that you see there, or excuse me, starting from the 2019 opening of the school, I worked our way back from that, which allowed for 15 months of construction, 2 months of bid negotiation, and 4 months of construction documents, which puts the election day us starting or be a month into construction documents on election day. So that's kind of where we have to be in order to be finished by 2019 of fall.
Which what we talked about previously.
Okay. And that's it.
You know, I've said this before, I'm not sure we own the property where this school needs to be, but I don't know. There's not an obvious answer here. There's pros and cons of any of the ones as you've laid it out,
Yeah.
and that seems to be the case, but we've got to continue to explore options, and we've got some time, but we don't have a whole lot of time to make that
Right.
decision, right?
Right, correct. I think we have a starting April 1st, if I can see that right.
You got a few months.
Well, right, we've got until April, until the pre-design starts to
Right.
decide, basically.
Right.
So we've got 6 months, but
Right.
that'll go pretty quickly. So, okay, anybody have any questions or thoughts about our elementary site, preliminary elementary site assessment? Okay, thank you, appreciate you being here
My pleasure.
and braving the weather to get here. I just need to, I want to remind everybody, and Jason, I appreciate you mentioned the road potential changes. We've got to stay, there's so much construction going on. I don't know how much y'all are driving around. I went out to Three Creeks Saturday just to drive around, and it's pretty frightening how fast they're throwing houses up out there. I see them on the north more, it seems, but that's an area I just don't go through regularly, and so there's a lot of growth going on in our school district, and we're going to need to stay very close with that. I think, I don't know when we're scheduled to have Bob Templeton come back, but that may be, you mentioned coordinating with them, but that may be something we want to talk about too, just some update on developments and
Bob will do
kind of updated.
he'll do an
report
updated
this fall.
demographic report once we get close to that snapshot date,
Yeah,
the
right.
October timeframe.
Okay, that's about right. It's a couple of
Yeah.
months away.
Yep.
So, good. That'd be great. Okay, thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Pleasure.
All right, next up. O'Connell Robertson expertise. We're so glad y'all could be with us again.
Thank you.
It's always good to have you here.
We are glad to. And our report is even more preliminary
Preliminary.
than,
Okay, I got you.
than their report was. But we were asked to come tonight and just kind of give you an update and an overview of the team that'll be working on the high school number 2 project. So just briefly, for those of you who might not remember or be as familiar, O'Connell Robertson, we're out of Austin. We have offices in Austin and San Antonio. But our firm was established in 1950, so we've been doing business continuously, including school design, for 66 years. We have a proven project management process with Belton ISD that we're really proud of. We've been working with y'all for almost 2 years now on a number of projects, including the Tiger Field and Turf and Track Replacement Project, and looking forward to another exciting season out there this year. So we also bring relevant project experience, high school design, educational design expertise, and an integrated team. So Dr. Kincannon asked us to just introduce you to our team a little bit here. So we've got a slide that talks about the different team members that are going to be involved, from structural engineers to technology consultants to the DLR group for design consultant, Pape Dawson, who was involved on the Tiger Turf and Track project. They're with us again on this project, so they have a familiarity with the district. And Studio 1619 for landscape design. These are some of the key team members, but there'll be a lot of people working on a project like this. But these pictures represent everybody from the interior designer, landscape designer, construction administrator, Kurt, who you guys are familiar with, who was also involved with Jared on the track and turf project. So that's a little bit about our team. And then Jared was going to talk about the schedule, and then if y'all have any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. So I do have the pleasure of working on another Belton ISD project. And so we actually had a meeting last week to kick that off, talk about the kind of the big picture, kind of where we're moving forward from here. And so really we outlined the schedule here in front of you, where our goal is in 2016 to outline the program for the facility. And that would include a master plan for the site, help us start working through the decisions about what parts and pieces go in the building, how's it arranged on the site from a master plan perspective, and then start understanding how that's impacting costs. So we might make decisions about how large the school is, what grade levels does it address, those type of questions that we have along the way. We're going to go through a programming process that's going to include some school tours, looking at national school trends to understand, what are the things that we could bring to Belton to really kind of elevate the educational level here in the district. Y'all are doing a great job, and, I love to think that architecture can kind of ramp it up just a little bit more. But really, our goal is to, by the end of the year, in the November, December timeframe, that we can bring you back some information to be able to present and start understanding the decision-making process and work through that. We're in January, we'd look for approval of the facility program, and that's, again, describing the size, the scale, the potential cost, and that will launch us into the schematic design phase, where we're really trying to understand how all the parts and pieces are arranged, what it starts looking like. And that would ultimately lead to a package that we'd be able to provide to a cost estimator to be able to help inform the potential call for a bond next year. So we have that dovetailed right in at the April timeframe. We'll know all along the process. It won't be going into a black box. We'll keep the district informed along the way about where we're headed, but really provide that final information, that honed-in information for the May timeframe from there. Then we'll go on hold for a little bit while you pass a successful bond, and then be ready to start from there.
Like how you said that.
Absolutely. So that's the first half of the process, and then once the bond is approved, then we would move into design development, contract documents to meet the rest of the schedule from that side. So that's it in a nutshell.
I guess the question that I have is, it seems the urgent issue now is to be working on master planning of that site because of the City of Temple's extension of that road, and so entries into the site, and where are we at with that in terms of, we've got to be flexible because we're way
Sure.
early in the design of the campus, but we need to tell them where we want to cut in to the school.
And we talked with them. It sounded like right now they are looking at letting bids in April of next year.
Okay.
But they would love to have our information as soon as possible. So to me, the goal would be is when we're working through that master planning process, we can get it pretty close to where we want it to be able to share with them and start coordinating from curb cuts, sidewalks, locations, utilities, to be able to help us.
So can you do that? I mean, obviously, one of the big questions we have to answer is how big the school's gonna be.
Sure.
I mean, although we know that eventually it's gonna expand and grow, but can we master plan it in a way that it doesn't matter? Because that decision's gonna come later, but we need to know where to do the curb cuts and have all that kinda, I mean, can we do some of that at least?
Yes, that is what the master planning
the plan,
process
that's the goal,
is
isn't it?
really, let's look at the big picture. If it's another, 2,500, 3,000 student school in 50 years, what does that start looking like? And then be able to
I
back
don't know if
off
we
from
need
there
to
about
think
what to
50
think.
years, I'm thinking 5 to 10, but we need to be.
We want to think 50 years, but we'll plan for 5
Yeah,
to 10
yeah.
immediately.
But the schematic design process that we will be starting in January will require a number
Yes.
of students.
Right, so that's the decision.
So this fall, the programming conversations and meetings will inform, and that's why we're really proposing to give the board some time. You'll be getting updates this fall on the process and the progress and some of the things we're looking at from a program standpoint, which in turn is how many students are going to be in the school, and is it going to start as a 9th, 10th, or
Okay.
9th through 12th? But we're giving you time in November to kind of get a proposed program, think about that, and have feedback so that in January, we can get approval of, yes, it's going to be X number of students and these grade levels when it opens, so this is what you need to design for, because we can't really go into schematic design without knowing.
Right.
So
So
that'll
that
be
decision
happening
has
this
to be
fall.
made by the first of the year,
Correct.
essentially.
Yeah.
And I think
Yes, it does.
we can start working through the road issues and plan a generic, hey, we want curb cuts here to work with the City of Temple's process.
Yeah.
No problem. So it'll all work seamlessly together from your end and their end, hopefully. But we've already, after our first meeting with the district, we turned around and met with City of Temple. Angela was there. We've been providing information back and forth at this point to really decide what's best for
Well,
Belton.
we've heard from them all along. They
Okay,
just tell us,
perfect.
what do you want? I mean, they're figuring it out, willing to work with us, but
Yep.
we don't know what we want.
Sure.
I mean, we don't know what we need at this point,
Yep.
so.
When we're helping to define that right now.
Great. Okay, good. Any other questions?
We're really excited to be
Yes.
here and working on this project with y'all.
Well, we're really
we
excited
appreciate
and
it.
pretty frightened by the whole concept, so. But
Okay,
excited.
that's
It's
what
a
we're
good
here for.
Well, that's right. So you're here to help ease our anxiety
That's
about
right.
this as we work through this process because it's big.
It is.
It's a big
It is.
project, so.
We're looking forward to
We're
it.
trusting you to help walk us through that gently.
We will do that.
So great. Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
being
Thank
here
y'all very
tonight.
much.
Thank you. Okay, Board, I'm gonna, with your permission, we're gonna move on and skip some agenda and try and pick up the consent agenda and maybe even superintendent's report. We may then take a brief break before we do our recognitions. Thank you all for being here with us. And that way we can kind of save a little time on the back end. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, anybody have an item off the consent agenda they'd like pulled for discussion? Hearing none, let me identify those items. We have the minutes of the July 18th, 2016 regular meeting, the unaudited financial report for the month ending July 31st, 2016, gifts, grants, and bequests of less than $1,000. We had one, does not require board action, but did want to acknowledge that and recognize that donation. There you go. We have other revenues of at least $1,000, but less than $10,000. This month, we have a donation from the Leon Heights PTA of $2,000. Appreciate their efforts. We have several budget amendments, and most of these are end-of-year cleanup. But first is the tax appraisal district taxing unit fees. That's to reclassify $115,000. Second is the end-of-year salary account cleanup, reclassifying $325,766. And again, these reclassifications don't change the budget, either revenue or expenditures, it just reclassifies the codes. Third one is Lake Belton Middle School security cameras and calculator replacement, reclassifying Fund 199 of $3,130.58. We have campus enrollment incentive, North Belton Middle School reclassification, Fund 199 of $4,400. And then a big one, the 2016 bond refunding amendment, Fund 511. This is for $7,485,598.80 of revenue and $7,600,598.80 of expenditure. As we refinance those bonds, we needed to run that back through, and then, again, as a reminder, that saved the district and our taxpayers significant money over the life of those loans by lowering that tax rate. Over $1 million is
1.1.
$1.1 million. We have the athletic security cameras reclassification, Fund 199 of $13,500. We have the general operating revenue reclassification, Fund 199 of $361,963.80. Well, I don't know how much that is. Let me hold that. Deanna, do you have that?
Yeah, I have it. It was $372,464.17.
There you go. Okay. General operating revenue reclassification, Fund 199 of $372,464.17. Actually had that number written down. Thank you for confirming that for me. We have the SHARS revenue amendment, Fund 199 to increase revenue by $634,000. We have the debt service revenue amendment, Funds 511 and 515. Increase revenue $135,347.41. And then the swim center reclassification, Fund 199 to reclassify $156,281. We have the annual county extension approval of the county extension agents as adjunct staff members so that our students can work with them. The resolution regarding the extracurricular status of 4-H organizations, again, that's an annual memo that we do, a resolution. The juvenile justice alternative education program JJAEP memorandum of understanding for 2016-17 with no changes. Just significant. And then the school resource officer SRO interlocal agreement between the city of Belton, Texas, and Belton ISD. Thank you for Chief Ellis and Dr. Kincannon and Angela and everybody involved in that. We very much appreciate our partnership with the city of Belton. Of the 2015-16 School Health Advisory Council, or SHAC report, Mr. Admar, appreciate you providing that for us. Good. Again, express our appreciation to that group for their work. Seems kind of after the fact, but this annual report kind of falls now, but it's things that happened last year and they're already ready to go for this year. We have the appointment of Representative to the City of Temple Reinvestment Zone, number 1, Board of Directors to reappoint John Keela to represent us. We have the City of Temple Parks and Leisure Services Department interlocal agreement, and the 2016 interlocal service agreement amendment between Belton ISD and Colleen ISD for audiovisual support at the BISD August 2016 convocation. We appreciate their help with that. That is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you. Have a motion from Ms. Jordan, second from Ms. Winkler. All in favor of the motion, raise a hand. Passes unanimously.
Go.
Go. Superintendent's report. You could have gone early.
All right, just a few pictures to share with some of our summer projects that we're wrapping up. First here, you see the Belton High School roof. That roof is complete. Remember, that's just the first part. We have a 3-summer phased project for the Belton High School roof, and this is just the first phase. We hope to bring the closeout of this first phase to you soon, but we're very pleased with the contractor and the work that they've done, and that they were finished on time, and so we're very tickled about that. Next is the computer lab renovation project at Belton High School, and also the library. I just have pictures here of the computer lab. That project has gone very well. The construction work is complete. We're in the process of adding furniture. We don't quite have all the furniture here yet. But we are moving some furniture in temporarily so we can get some students in that computer science lab, and we're going to make it work, and hopefully we'll get that in over the next several days. The next picture that you see, this was the temporary road that the city of Belton built for us last year to help us get into the school while they were doing construction on Prairie View Road. We're keeping that road as an exit right only for North Belton Middle School, and so you can see here where we've painted on the sides of that road, and we've added some signage, and so that will be a right exit only at North Belton Middle School, and then that actually will be very beneficial to us with the number of cars coming in and out of North Belton Middle School. And then the last one there, these are the swim center showers. This is one place that we often get some complaints about, just the size and condition, just because of the number of people that are using the swim center. And so what we're doing this summer, actually this week, is putting a rebath product over the tile and floors in these showers so that they will be easier to clean and look and be nicer for our students and for others who are using the swim center, community members who are actually showering there as well at times. So we hope that work will be completed by the end of the week. Okay, enrollment update. As you know, our demographer, Bob Templeton, projected an increase of 339 students for us for this school year, which pushes us over the 11,000 mark this year, and it brings, his projection would bring us to 11,201 students for 2016-2017. So I want to tell you where we.
What was that number?
Bob's number was 11,201.
11,201.
In his updated demographic report, which is an increase of 339 over last year. This morning in the system, which is our Skyward system where we enroll all of our students, we had 11,249 students in the system for this next school year. And of course, that number is still fluctuating daily as our registrars make changes in the system and enroll or withdraw students. But I wanted to give you some specifics on where we stand by grade level span. Right now at the high school level, we're showing about 3,300 high school students. That would be about 2,765 at Belton High School and about 538 at New Tech High School. Those numbers don't add up. I did some rounding and some I didn't, so apologize for that. But I wanted to point out that Bob's projection for high school for 2025 is about 4,300 students, which isn't that far away. And then his projection for 2029, which is about 12 years away is 5,000 high school students. So you can see how quickly we're moving. 3,300 number is significant. At the middle school level.
100 or 200 a year, it gets there pretty fast.
It gets there fast, right? So 5,000 seems like a lot for 2029, but we'll be here before we know it. 12 years is not that far away. And then at the middle school level, we have 2,600 students already in the system, with North Belton Middle School having the most students currently. And we have over 5,300 students enrolled at the elementary school level. Pirtle, High Point, and Chisholm Trail Elementaries have all over 700 students currently. Those are our largest elementary schools, and Lakewood is not too far behind. They're sitting at 653 students as of this morning. So I think we made a pretty good decision adding some assistant principals there to help those larger elementary schools. And we knew that those schools were going to be larger. And so it does appear that we're going to meet Bob Templeton's projections this year, that 339 students, but we'll keep watching it and give you some updates
So what's first
as we
day
go along.
number?
First day number,
Who's
I
got-
don't have a
who's got the
first day
guess on
number
the first
yet.
day?
I haven't, the number.
It's not that, obviously.
It's not what's in the
Everybody does
system.
it,
It,
right.
it never is. I don't know. I'll have to sleep on that one.
Okay.
But I bet you we'll be close to that 11-2. We're already at 11,249, so we might be close. Yeah, we'll see. Our principals probably know a lot more than I do. They've seen those faces every day. And then convocation, we're excited about convocation tomorrow morning at 8:30 at the Bell County Expo Center. We'll be welcoming our nearly 1,800 employees back to school for the 2016-2017 school year. Our theme this year, you may have seen that already, is We're All Tigers. All of our schools share the same mascot. But more than that, all of our students share a commitment, or all of our schools, share a commitment to making every child feel welcome. And so that's the message that we want to send to our staff, that regardless of our students' backgrounds or the programs that they participate in, there is a place for every student here as a Belton Tiger. And we want to create inclusive environments for our students. I'd like to thank, tonight, I'd like to thank Kyle DeBeer, Kristen Gordon, and Sandy Slade for their work to make tomorrow possible. There's a lot of work that goes into convocation, and they've been working diligently, including making a video about you all that's absolutely fantastic, and I think you'll be very pleased with it. Also,
As long as the outtakes don't show, we're good. Right?
it's good. It's very good. And I'd also like to thank all of our principals and directors who are actually the program tomorrow. They're participating and telling stories about the people of the district, the students and the staff, and the diversity of our programs. And so I hope that you will see that we're focused on people. It should be a really good program. So we'll begin at 8:30 and look forward to having you there tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd sure suggest you get there early.
Yes,
Traffic is a challenge on convocation day for those of you that haven't done that. Come early and meet and greet.
Yes, it'll be great. And then if you could put that up, there we go, our open house events, Meet the Teacher. Meet the Teacher events will be held at our elementary campuses this Wednesday and Thursday evening. All of the schedules can be found online. Kristen and Kyle did a really nice job of getting that posted early, and I've seen that shared multiple times on social media. So I think people are very clear about when their times are. I wanted to point out that this year, some of our campuses are providing 2 different arrival times for families based on last name, to just purely, most cases with the exception of Beck's, but in most instances because of the size of the schools, and to allow space for parents to park and to be able to get in and out and actually have some time to meet the teacher, because some of our larger schools, the crowds are huge. So that's new for us, and I appreciate those schools that are trying that this year. Belton New Tech High School at Wasco has an open house event on August the 29th from 5:30 to 7, and Belton High School's open house is September the 13th at the same time, and then our middle schools are scheduled for September the 8th. All three are at the same time at 5:30 to 7. And that's all I have this evening. School starts in 1 week.
School starts.
Yeah,
Any
it's coming
questions?
fast.
Okay.
Thank
It
you.
is, well, I don't know what time it is. It is 5:53. We're going to take a 7-minute break, reconvene at 7 o'clock, and start recognizing some of our students in 6 o'clock. What did I say? Redo. It is 5:53. We'll take a break until 6 o'clock, reconvene, and start recognizing of our student, staff, and community members. We are celebrating, for those of you that weren't here a little bit earlier, we are celebrating this year at the beginning of school with the theme of We're All Tigers. And I think this is a wonderful way, as Dr. Kincannon has led us out on that theme, this is a wonderful way of launching that theme of We're All Tigers, because tonight we're going to see diversity of our students and the things that they are achieving and excelling in, and the ways that others are involved. So, without going any further, Kyle DeBeer, you want to get us started on some recognitions? We're going to begin with our AP scholars. This is a challenge, and let me before Kyle gets started, let me give a couple of ground rules. One, we realize that not all of our students are here. Some of them have already left for college. We may have some parents here, and you're more than welcome. Please come up and get the certificate. We have a certificate to present. We want to take pictures in groups. We'll have groups to take of you. So as your name's called, come on up, get your certificate, stand up here. Parents, if you haven't been here before, I want you to know this is somewhat informal, because we want you to come take pictures, and they want you to come take pictures even if they say they don't. So please come up, and we'll pose as long as you need to, but students, line up on the podium right in front of us, block our view, that's okay, and we'll celebrate together, okay? So let's get started with some AP scholars.
Thank you, Mr. Pittenger. I'm really excited to celebrate tonight what is once again a record number of AP scholars for Belton ISD. This year, the College Board is honoring 96 Belton ISD high school students as AP scholars, and together they've earned a total of 101 awards. That's up from 23 awards when we started participating in the program in 2010. The awards are divided into 4 categories, and we'd like to begin by recognizing the first group of students who are students who received a score of 3 or higher on 3 or more AP exams, and that qualifies them as AP scholars. Those students this year are Brett Anderson, Anna Becker, Christopher Bednars, Joseph Bledsoe,
There we go. Come on.
Monica Buval,
Christopher.
Come on up. We're glad you're here. Okay. Yep, you get to set the tone now. You're the
Douglas
main-
Callahan,
There
Liliana
we go.
Castro, Brandon Cooper, Kyle Cordova, Natalie Craven, Abigail Crosby, Abigail Dixon, Ryan Dobos, Mary Dolan, John Farrick, Meredith Francis,
Here we go. Hold on. Let's not get too far behind here.
Raquel Frausto, Emily Gaw, Blair Gilbert, Bethany Goad, Dharma Gutierrez, Samantha Hebert, Olivia Holden, Sarah Jones,
Olivia's coming.
Cameron Casberg, Allison Condrat, Noah Cruz, Colin Mask, Michael McDonald, Kevin Menapace, Sumner Moore, Emily Navarro, Jonathan Nesby, Macy Naeme, Haley Peace, Serena Shador, Ethan Smetana, Ryan Smith, Garrett Sorens, Shania Ward, Allison Whitney,
Hold on. Okay. I just want to make sure they're stayed in line. Jeff started moving fast.
Alexander Borchardt, Morgan Callan, Jessica Dixon, Xavier Haynes, Ariel Van Cleef, and Shane Warren.
All right.
These are our AP scholars.
Okay, while y'all are posing for a picture, get all scrunched in and Miss Gordon will get you. You can jump up. Some of you can get behind here and make another row. There you go. Remind us again what these students accomplished. You represent a group of 47.
And they received a score of 3 or higher on 3 or more AP exams.
3 or higher on 3 or more. That means, if I understand correctly, that all of these students have at least 3 classes that will qualify for college credit, just about anywhere.
At most colleges or
Yeah,
universities.
that's a big deal, and the parents are thrilled because that's tuition. That's a big deal. Lots of pictures, lots of smiles, and in August, y'all still look scholarly. I think that's impressive. All right, how we doing? Congratulations, guys. I think it's awesome that they came. I should have asked how many of you are graduates and not, but that's too confusing. Okay, next group then is our,
We have 16 students who are AP Scholars with Honor. To receive that designation, they had to have an average score of at least 3.25 on all of the AP exams that they took, and scores of 3 or higher on 4 or more exams. This year's AP Scholars with Honor are Savannah Bush, Rebecca Deacon, Spencer Diem, Christina Gaw, Brittany Green, Alexa Harris, Eric Hoffman, Courtney Lamb, Mallory Lane, Marissa Montalongo, Cammie Moore, Wesley Moore, Sophia Shador, Sarah Villamaria, Si Young Woo, and Adriana Hernandez.
oh man. Okay, get together. Again, parents, please feel free to come up and take pictures. Just keep looking. Okay, we're not done. Keep posing. Great job. We're proud of y'all. Congratulations. That's 4.
At least.
Wait a minute. Let's make sure that's right. 4 or more? Is that right?
Correct, at least
4 or
4.
more. So that's 4 college classes, and many of these are not graduates. That's amazing. Now, next group. This is, we're raising the bar a little bit more.
These are our AP Scholars with distinction. These 33 students received an average score of at least 3.5 on all AP exams taken, and scores of 3 or higher on 5 or more exams. What's significant is not only do we have a record number of students this year, but we also have more students than ever achieving at this level. And the students this year are Kevin Beavers, Madeline Shapin, Rachel Clemens, Taryn Cook, Andrew Fitzwater,
There's a good day.
Aubrey Gonzalez, Austin Hagan, Leighton Haglund, Thomas Holcomb, Rupu Zhao, Hannah Jimenez, Rush Lee, Zachary Lopez, Sammy Manikendon, Hunter Mitchell, Margaret Murphy,
Absolutely.
Caleb Minette,
Happy for you.
Mayawa Oyanubi, Rachel Parker, Jasmine Peng, Madison Pratt, Meredith Ramba, Caroline Stiegel, Joshua Stiegel, Megan Taylor, Carrie Waymeyer, Si-Jin Wu, Logan Zwerneman, Ann Schicarello, Nicholas Hogger, Andrew McMahon, Heather Parker, and Benjamin Stobaugh.
Good job, guys. Oh, attaboy. Good placement. Okay, say this again. An average score of 4. Is that right?
Of
No.
3.5 on all.
Average of 3.5.
3 or higher on 5 or more, so at least 5 college credits at most colleges.
So they took 5 AP courses, this group. Is that right? How do y'all do that and do other stuff? Live. You know, there are college students who don't do that. That's pretty amazing.
It is, and out of that group, I want to just mention that there were 5 students, Taryn, Austin, Jasmine, Meredith, and Carrie, who are also national AP scholars, which means that they received an average score of 4 or higher on all AP exams taken, and scores of 4 or higher on 8 or more exams this year.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty impressive. Okay, before we move on, is that on that? Before we move on to our next recognition, I just want to pause a minute and recognize how significant this is. There's a lot of, you read a lot in the media and you hear a lot about standardized tests and about accountability ratings because that's what the media likes to write about. But this makes a difference. These are the kinds of things that we measure, that we're looking for to see this kind of success we need. Our students excelling, not just at a high school level, but excelling at a college level while they're in high school. It's amazing. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I do. This is one of the things I'm most proud about last year and continue to be proud about. Just coming from 23 AP scholars in 2010 to today having 101 scholar awards is really significant for our system, and it really does show the rigor that's happening in our classrooms and the ability of our students. And we talk all the time about the STAR tests and how those scores are really just one measure of our students' success, and those are just the minimum, right? Those are the state standardized tests, but the AP tests don't get enough recognition. And the media doesn't pick up on them enough because they are significant and our kids are excelling, and we just couldn't be more proud of them. So thank you, students, for taking those hard classes and for taking the exams. We really appreciate it. And whether you get the college credit or not for the degree program that you're in, you've learned some valuable things about studying and completing rigorous courses, and so we just appreciate you.
And congratulations, big deal.
Yeah,
Congratulations to all these families. Okay, our next recognition, we're going to shift a little bit to our all-world superstar.
Sydney Holman had a truly unprecedented season her senior year as a pitcher for the Lady Tigers. And it's unprecedented in another way, which is she's the first female athlete from Belton High School to be an All-American. Sydney's been named to the Max Preps 2016 softball second team All-American team. She's only the second student athlete in the history of the school to be an All-American, the first female student athlete, and just the sort of crowning achievement to an absolutely incredible season and an incredible career at Belton High School.
And beyond that, she's practically perfect in every way. And so I just want to add, and I'm not, is it okay if I say this? Sure. Coach Shipley's going to talk about this young lady tomorrow at convocation. And I don't know what he's going to say, but he can't spend the whole time. We do have time limits, Coach. And
All I know is that I could have picked anything and anybody to talk about in the whole district athletic department, and I chose her.
And for those of you that may not be with us tomorrow, I want you to know this is one extraordinarily gifted athlete, but even more important is the way she leads her team and she represents our school district and our high school with such poise and charm and grace and just amazing ways. Tomorrow, you're headed to college, right?
Yes, sir.
Where are you going, Sydney?
I'll be with
Go out. I'll tell you what, we can be a long time before we see somebody achieve that. Oh, I should have mentioned Matt Blackburn, coach. That way, coach. I don't know what to tell you, and family, I don't know what to tell you, but I hope you get to coach another one like Sydney sometime in your career, although most people would beg to have one. Okay, next up, oh, this is exciting because it's annual. The Texas Association of Pupil Transportation State Poster Contest winner are the renamed the
Shivangi Oha poster contest at this point. For the 5th consecutive year, we're really excited. Shivangi has won
Come on
first
up.
place in her division of the Texas School Bus Safety
Wait,
Poster
come here.
Contest.
Okay, we may have joked through that, but for those of you that haven't been with us, you need to hear this again. Kyle, say that again.
This is the 5th consecutive year that she's won her division of the state contest.
At the state level. 5th year in a row. That's phenomenal. This is a great collection of pictures, by the way. She comes each year at this time and just gets recognized. It's amazing. I don't know what it is, but look at this. This is a really awesome poster, which is why it won, but she's got it figured out.
And her poster now goes on to the national competition, which she has also won before. And we're
by the
looking
way.
forward to the announcement of the national winners later this fall.
That's great. Congratulations, and we'll see you next year. Next up, FFA State Convention. We get to recognize some of our students who've been involved with FFA. Belton FFA is a great program, huge program. Lots of our students involved, and many of them were recognized this summer.
And it's a long process that goes into earning the Lone Star degree. It's a recognition that for these students is years in the making. And so we're really excited to start out by recognizing our Lone Star degree recipients from this year's state convention. Those students are Billy Bell, Ashley Bonds, Jacob Chastain, Sydney Corlew, Tanner Frick, Brandon Grimm, Sarah Haverland, Courtney Heffley, Owen Jones, Tyler Kastner, Jared Knox, Stephanie Lashuk, Dawson Lowry, Marshall Martinek, Briar Matthews, Esmeralda Mena, Mary Pishner, Destiny Pratt, Shania Ward, and Madison Yeager. And the actual list of requirements for this degree is about a page long, but I would summarize it as saying that they have to not just be active in the organization for 2 years, but go beyond that, meeting academic criteria, participating in community service, and most importantly, demonstrating leadership skills. It really is a big accomplishment.
Okay, congratulations. And I think it's wonderful how many of you came tonight. Thank you. Okay, if you can all get into one picture, this is the big question. Squeeze in. Our teacher sponsors here, I can't see. Wave, thank you. There we go. There we go. Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all being here and getting them all here, but we're not done with FFA. So
We're not. We have 3 students who were state finalists for other awards at the FFA State Convention. Madison Gartman was a finalist for the Star Greenhand Production Award. Bo Green for the Ag Mechanics Repair and Maintenance Proficiency Award. And Grimm was also a state finalist for the Ag Mechanics Design and Fabrication Proficiency Award. And while Madison is up here, I'd like to tell you about yet another accolade that she earned at the state convention, which is that she was one of just 37 students statewide who were chosen for the Texas FFA chorus. And out of that very small, very elite group of student musicians, she was selected as the soloist to perform the national anthem at the state convention.
Ooh, that's pretty awesome. Okay. Great job, guys. Congratulations. And we're so proud of our program. What a great opportunity for our students in a variety. Talk about diversity. We're all Tigers, Dr. Kincannon, but they do a variety of things. Everything from singing the national anthem to all those other things that were mentioned. Okay, let's move on. Did we get all the FFA?
We did.
Okay, well, let's move on to our Level 1 Veterinary Assistant Certification.
Our CTE program gives students the opportunity to earn professional certification so they leave high school with a proven record that they're ready for the job force with skills that employers need. And this year, we have a great number of students who have earned their Level 1 Veterinary Assistant certification. That certification requires 90 days of work under the supervision of a vet. It requires a series of hands-on skills be demonstrated and also that they pass a certification exam. So tonight, we want to recognize the students earning that certification this year, who are Marciela Alcozer, Rachel Barnett, Abby Dixon, Brianna Farrell, Jared Knox, Michaela Lashuk, Esmeralda Mena, Craig Morris, Mary Pishner, and Madison Yeager.
Keep them up here for the next award because it's relevant. This is a big deal, and it's really a significant thing, but I want y'all to hold up here for just a minute because I think it's really relevant to our next award, our recognition.
So one of the criteria that I mentioned for earning that certification is to work with a vet or a vet tech and to demonstrate hands-on skills that are developed through that experience. Our CTE program really succeeds because we have great community partners, and one of those partners is Lakewood Veterinary Clinic that makes it possible for our students to earn this certification by inviting students into their clinic, working with them to prepare for the exam, to prepare for the skills checklist, and really they're just an incredibly valuable partner for our career and technical education students, preparing them for life after graduation.
Brad, why don't you come on up here and join us too? Brad, are you paying attention? I'm gonna give you just a 30 seconds if you wanna add anything. Only 30.
30 seconds. Mrs. Klaus and I were trying to figure out before the meeting how many students we've had at Lakewood Veterinary Clinic under Dr. Jensen. I don't even know. What did we come up with that y'all employed? 7?
We had at least 5, 6.
5, 6.
And they managed to work for us for 5 years.
Wow.
Invaluable partner.
Wow, this is tremendous. This is a great representation of what we talked about the Big Red Community Partners and about our Big Red community and how the partnerships with our business partners and our school district enable our students to do great things and end up getting certifications. And you want me to stop talking, don't you? No. And both for picture, but how this is significant because, and I love how you said this gets jobs. This is employment. This is work. This is what we're preparing our students for: further education, certification, and work. Great opportunity. So thankful for the partnership. Thanks, man. Let's. Okay, I'll stop.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
That was a great background for our business. Good stuff. Good job, guys. I love how we combined those tonight into a couple of significant ways. You know, we have recognized our students, academics, athletics, FFA, CTE in a variety of ways. But we're also going to, and we've talked about our community partners, but we have another community partner that helps us tell our story. And so we've used the TASB Media Honor Roll as a way to do that.
Absolutely. In March, the board nominated 5 journalists for the TASB Media Honor Roll. These are journalists who focus on fair and balanced reporting on schools and connecting the community to their schools. Tonight, I'm happy to report that all 5 of the journalists that you nominated were included on the honor roll, and that we have some certificates from TASB to present to them. I'd like to start by introducing Tony Adams, who's the sports editor for the Belton Journal.
And photographer extraordinaire of our kids.
And unfortunately, this is a challenging time for some of our reporters who are either meeting deadlines tonight or out covering stories as we speak. But we also want to acknowledge David Tuma, who's the publisher of the Belton Journal, Rissa Shaw from KCEN, Naya Harden from KWTX, and Crystal Dominguez from the Temple Daily Telegram, who are the other 4 journalists recognized with this honor.
All right, but let's take a picture of Tony, because Tony takes thousands of pictures every week of our students. You know, we recognized Tony at our Public School Week luncheon a year or so ago, a couple years ago, because of his work on behalf of our students in telling the story. And he's a great community partner and a champion and well beloved for our kids. It's fun stories about how they sang happy birthday to him on Friday night in the gym, not even a home way, and then the football team sang to you Saturday, I think.
They could carry a tune at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Who knew? At least as far as you could tell, right?
I wasn't quite awake at 7 o'clock, but
Exactly.
it was plenty fun.
Thank you, Tony. We really do appreciate you, and that's one more small token of our way of saying thank you for what you do on behalf of our kids and our community. And we are very thankful for all those others, and we've received some feedback from them and appreciation, so we do that. Okay, it is 6:29. So at this time, we want to call to order the public hearing regarding the 2016-17 budget and proposed tax rate. Mr. Haggerty.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the public hearing to discuss the 2016-2017 budget and tax rate. I'd like to start out with just identifying a couple of highlights, financial highlights here at the district for those of you who are unfamiliar. We're evaluated in the financial office under the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, the first evaluation, and for the past several years, we've been on a pass-fail system. Well, that has changed over to a numbering system, and we were just notified that for the 8/31/2015 year that we received 100 points or a perfect score for our first rating. Last year, we received a clean audit from Patillo, Brown and Hill, and we have a bond rating of AA-. We begin the budget process by by identifying and projecting the revenues that we expect to have. That begins very early in the year. We begin that in November of each year. The first thing we start with the help of information that we get from Templeton Demographics, is an enrollment forecast, and we need the enrollment forecast for 2 things. We need that to identify how many teachers we're going to need, and to make a calculation on how many ADA we expect to have in the year. That number changes throughout the year as we go along, as we get better information as we get closer to this time of the year in order to have a final budget. Right now, we projected for this particular budget that we're presenting tonight, 11,202 students enrolled.
Already blew that.
We're there, but we'll see what it's at snapshot, exactly. We also set several priorities very early in the process, and we work with all of the stakeholders to ensure that everybody keeps this in mind. Number one, we want to support academic achievement. That's what we do every day. We need to support that teacher with the interaction with the student in the classroom, and then everything else works towards that goal. And so we want everyone to stay focused on that. We also want to be able to support the implementation of the district improvement plan through this budget, which also focuses on student academic achievement. And then we need to support the digital learning initiatives, which we have to have a good technology department, we have to have good technology for our students. They deserve it. As you've seen this evening, they know how to use it and they use it well. We need to maintain comparable salary and benefits packages for employees in order to be competitive in this particular market, to get the best teachers we can in the classroom, the best employees we can in the buildings everywhere around the district. And we need to provide staffing facilities to meet the demands of fast growth. Here at Belton ISD, I think everyone by now should realize that this is a fast growth school district, one of very few in the state. And as you can see by the enrollment figures that we looked at earlier, we're continuing to grow, and we expect to grow going into the future. And we need to maintain our existing facilities as they grow a little bit older. This building is testament. We can keep buildings looking pretty good for a very long time, and we intend on doing that. And so as we continue on into that, we begin to get additional information that we can start working on the revenues for the district. One of those areas is for our local tax base, and we need to get the certified values. We get preliminary values early in the spring, which we begin working off of, and then as we get closer to this time of the year, we get certified values to allow us to see what our tax base is going to be. This year, we have a total assessed value of $3.66 billion, which is an 8.7% increase from 2015, which is fairly significant in our area for anyone over $1 billion worth of taxable assets. And we expect to collect $30.6 million in M&O taxes this year. And this is just a quick breakdown on how those property tax values are calculated. And you can see we have assessed value of $3.66 billion. And then with the total exemptions, the homestead exemption, and all those items that make up the exemptions, getting us to a net taxable value of $2.7 billion. Then there's some freezes, the plus 65-year-old and the different freezes that are removed from that value. There's some adjustments for people moving into the district that are bringing some freezes and exemptions with them when they move into the district. Getting us to an adjusted taxable value of $2.4 billion is what we're going to be calculating our tax revenues off of. So as we start the proposed budget and we put the pieces together and we start working with the stakeholders, these are some of the assumptions that we're using out of the data that we're collecting. And as I've tried to show, we use a lot of preliminary data that we're not exactly sure on, but we have some historical information. We're able to calculate back to what we anticipate those revenues to be. First of all, the maintenance and operations and the interest and sinking fund budgeted collections, we use a collection rate of 98% in order to create this budget. We have to have something to create the budget. And our ADA that we'll be using this year, we're projecting 10,455 students for an ADA, which is an increase of 296 average daily attendance from the year before. Our enrollments are up, I believe we said it was 339 students on the enrollments, and so we anticipate the 94 to 95% average daily attendance rate. So we budget our expenses with the enrollment, we budget our revenues with the students in the classroom each day. And with a renewed focus on that, we expect to have higher ADA each year. This past year, we were very good. The principals and everyone helped us out there, and the students were coming to class, and that's very helpful, and we need that to continue. We also, the board went ahead and approved for us a $25 health insurance contribution per employee this year, a 2% pay increase from the midpoint, and new staff to support the increased growth of students in the district. That's all of that is included in this budget that we're presenting or proposing tonight. And I know that's a little bit difficult to read there, but this is the budget that we want to propose for everyone tonight. It's a balanced budget. We have some informational items in the budget, but the budget itself is balanced on all three levels, from general fund, child nutrition, and debt service. And this is just to show where the revenues in the general fund are coming from. The small green cap on each one of those bars is the federal, that's our grants, our federal money that's coming in. The black part of the bar is the state money that's coming in, and the red is the local money from the taxes. So we've got the taxes, the foundation school program, and the grants that are produce the bulk of our revenue here at the district. Here's where our expenditures go. Expenditures For the district, if one looks at instructional, try this out. No worky. In red, move down to student support. That's a grayish color, and facilities M&O. Those are all directly related to touching the students each day. As they're here at the district, that's 83.92% of our expenditure budget. And so that's where the bulk of the district's money that we're proposing in this budget will be spent. With that all said, what we're going to propose this evening is that we maintain the tax rate this year as it was last year, with the maintenance and operation rate being $1.17 and the interest and sinking fund rate being 27 cents, for a total of $1.44, which is what we had last year, and that's what we will be proposing tonight. And just so that we can see that the other two funds, the school nutrition and debt service fund, this, for more than anything, is just to show where the money's coming from for each year. We see slight growth in both. Actually, in school nutrition, we can see that we're getting a little bit more in federal revenue. We're doing a pretty good job of collecting all the data necessary for the federal reimbursement. And we have a slight growth with local and state revenue. And it's a balanced budget as well. And for the debt service, we see that we'll be collecting approximately about $10,506,224 to pay our bonded debt this year. And so we have that all scheduled, and that'll come in and come work through our interest and sinking fund of our tax rate. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
This is a public hearing, so anyone wishing to ask a question or make a comment regarding the budget or tax rate? Hearing no takers, or any board members have any comment? We have this on our agenda a little bit later we'll talk about, but thank you, appreciate that presentation. And it is 6:39, and so we will close our public hearing. Thank you, Phil.
All right.
All right. Next item, still going back, is public comments. I didn't see that anybody had signed up, anybody wishing to address the board. Hearing no takers, let's move. Mr. Schiller, you want to talk to us about district employee report?
Yes, sir. Tonight, we're recommending 26 recommendations. 21 of those are teachers. And we have 3 that are teacher coaches and 2 changing contracts from a teaching contract to a teacher coach contract. You can see the full list in the report. There is one individual that is a former Belton ISD graduate, Dawson Harmon. He's on the board report being recommended tonight. And then we have 10 UMHB graduates that are also on the report. For the last couple of years, I've reported kind of a summary of kind of our hires over the last couple of years. So just to kind of tell you, out of the recommendations that we have provided this year, 28% of those have been UMHB graduates, and 10% of those have been former Belton ISD high school graduates.
Nice. 10%.
You know what? It's a thought. One of these days, we're going to have a Belton New Tech High School at Wasco graduate.
You're absolutely right.
That'll be an interesting one. I mean, we haven't
Probably
been
not
far
that
enough
far away
out,
from it.
but we're still at,
A few
Pretty
more
soon.
years, a couple more years.
interesting.
And we're looking for 4 more positions. I'm getting closer to getting that narrowed down, so we will actively get those filled.
Great. And we're adding positions,
We are adding positions. To see the list there. We're a growing district,
yeah.
and so with that comes
With that
adding
enrollment
additional-
report, certainly we're, need to make sure we have adequate teachers, and I know, I suspect the principals are asking for more because they think even more are coming, right?
That's right.
Pretty typical. And they are, we believe you. Just need to be prudent about that, so, we expect we'll hear you come back next month with more.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the personnel recommendations? A motion from Mr. Cowan, second from Ms. Winkler. Any other comments or questions? All in favor of the motion, raise a hand. Passes unanimously.
All right,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much. Coach Bob Shipley, would you come give us an update about our Belton Tigers? And you know what? We've already set the tone earlier that we are all Tigers.
We are all Tigers, that's
And
right.
so tell us about our athletic Tigers.
Well, I really am proud of the year that we had, and it was really capped off by Sydney. What You know, you look back on her career, she was 10 strikeouts away from having 1,000 strikeouts. Just unbelievable career. And she would have gotten that easily, but especially her junior year, we had so many games that we 10-run rule people, or, you know, the run rule, and so many games didn't go on. And so anyway, but I just want to say that she exemplifies exactly what we'd like our student athletes to be. Just top-notch character, outgoing, caring, gives back to the community. She's awesome, so we appreciate her. But anyway, just want to give you a quick review of this past year and just a little bit about what's going on this year. We had 18 teams that advanced to the playoffs or to the regional round. We had 6 of our teams that were actually named district champions. So that was a pretty good year. Starting off with cross country, our varsity girls won their 3rd straight district championship. And as a matter of fact, they dominated. 15 girls finished in the top 20. It's pretty unbelievable. We had 10 regional qualifiers, 2 state qualifiers. There's about 70 girls in the program. And the varsity boys had a regional qualifier this year, and they were 4th in district. Volleyball finished 3rd place in district and qualified for by-district. And had an improvement from the year before, and we've got about 65 to 68 girls in the program, actually a little bit more than that this year.
With a new coach?
Yes. We have a new coach in volleyball, Crystal Broadback. We're proud of her and the job that she's doing, not only with the, you know, with the set, bump, spike, whatever you call it, but
Kill. It's kill.
I think
A
they
dig
changed
and a
it.
kill.
When I was in high school, you could only go half court with the girls, you know, you had to pass it across, remember that?
That was basketball.
Yeah, but anyway, she's making an impact on girls, and that's the kind of coaches that we want. Football, we had a much better team, I felt like, than the year before. Didn't necessarily show it in wins and losses, but we're making good progress. Both of our JV teams were district champs. We've got actually about 320 athletes in the program right now in football, and so we're excited about that. And I might just add, you don't have tickets yet for August 26th against the people that wear the funny blue front and white back pants across the river. Don't want to get them. It's going to be a fun night. A lot of electricity there. We're glad that rivalry's back, and we're excited about our football team.
Hey, let me just add, thank you for that. That was important to our community. Many people in our community were sad to see that not happen, and because of alignment and all those kind of things. But thank you for taking that on and making that happen. I think there's an enthusiasm and excitement about that that's just fun.
And it's a chance, I think, to teach a healthy respect for opponents. I mean, you know, it's a lot of people. As a matter of fact, somebody told me, I don't know if this is true, but they stopped playing for like 30 years because there was a killing in the parking lot, like in the 30s or something like that. Maybe that's
That might be an exaggeration, but I don't know.
Somebody told me that a judge ruled they couldn't play for so long because it was so intense. But anyway, we're back playing, and it's going to be civil.
Before our time.
We'll have SROs.
Yeah, I don't think I have to worry about it. We're not that intense.
Our girls' basketball team had a great year. They finished with 23 wins, which hadn't happened in a long time. Not only did they make the playoffs, they won by district, and they came really close from even advancing on to the area round, or to the regional quarterfinal round. So we're really excited about the job that they did. And if you weren't around those girls, that was a really, really close-knit group of girls. A lot like our football team this year, I think. Just wonderful to be around those girls.
Can I just add that little picture of Candy Moore at the bottom? She's one of our AP scholars.
Yes.
Isn't that
Yeah.
here with distinction or honor? I don't remember which level, but with second level, I think.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And,
That says
and
a lot
really,
about athletics.
In terms of the kind of person she is, she and Sydney are two peas in a pod. Great. Great. So anyway, our boys basketball finished 5th in district. They were the Greenville tournament champions again. We've got about 65. I think we'll have a little bit more than that in the program this year. Of course, we have Travois Jackson, a new coach who's come in, and we're excited about him. And You might not know this, but Joe Brown's going to be the assistant boys basketball coach.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately for him, it's a different Joe Brown. We have hired Coach Joe Brown to be our assistant coach, but he won't be having to be the principal. Powerlifting had just an incredible year. We had 11 boys qualify for regionals. We had 4 state qualifiers. We won 4 meets. And our regional team was runner-up. We've got about 75 or so kids in that. The girls had even more success in terms of 12 regional qualifiers. 7 girls qualified for the state tournament. They won 4 meets, the same meets that the boys won, and they were second place. They were runner-up in the regional tournament, and they've got about 50 girls in there. That's really something. We try to encourage every kid that wants to be in athletics, find your niche, whatever that is. If it's swimming, tennis, soccer, cross country, whatever it is. And this is a niche that girls sometimes are reluctant to find themselves in, but boy, you're talking about exciting to watch them compete and the way that they see themselves transform, and they didn't know that they could do it. And it's just really fun to watch them. So they had a good year. Our Lady Tigers soccer team won their 11th straight district championship. And we've got about 50 girls in the program for the 15-16 year. They are having a hard time getting past that first round playoff game for whatever reason. But 11 straight district titles is pretty impressive. Our boys were by-district qualifiers. Didn't quite have the run that we had the year before, but lost a lot of good players. It was really interesting to see how this team was going to respond to losing so many great players, and they had to kind of redefine themselves this past year. And so, but they found ways to win, and some boys stepped up that you just never know who's going to step up from year to year. But they had some boys that stepped up, and they had a good year. Lady Tiger Golf won the district championship. Their team placed 6th at regionals. We've got 20 girls participating, and Coach Marks is stepping down to continue to build her family. She has another child on the way, and we've hired Coach Bill Epperson to come in, a successful golf coach for the Garden and Rockwall Independent School Districts, who's retired and is going to take over our girls. We had a good meet and greet last week with the parents and the girls of the team.
Putt and greet.
A putt and greet.
There you go.
It was a putt and greet at the country club. Never been to one of those before. Boys golf were district champions once again. William Paisy was our state qualifier. We had 20 boys in the program, and once again they had a really solid year. Didn't quite have what they wanted in the regional tournament, but they had a good year. Congratulations to them. Swimming is just going nuts. District champions in both the boys and the girls. We had a total of 27 regional qualifiers. We had 5 state qualifiers. I think maybe the first time we had a girl swimmer qualify for the state swim meet.
Ooh, I think so.
I believe that's right. And
Yep.
we had 4 of them qualified. We had Noah Henry, who was an All-American. There was, of course, Michael Phelps, what a great Olympian he is with all the medals that he won. Actually, Noah Henry qualified for the Olympic trials. And I don't think it was in the Olympic trials, but he swam against Michael Phelps this past year. What an experience that was.
Didn't quite keep up, but got to be in the pool.
Not many people do.
That's right.
Got to touch the same water. 14 of a possible 22 school records were broken this year.
Amazing.
It's unbelievable. So congratulations to our swimmers, and they're looking for another great year. Lady Tiger Track, we graduated some really good girls from the 14-15 year. We still had 8 area qualifiers, 5 regional qualifiers. They don't let you go straight to regionals anymore. They put 2 districts together and have an area qualifiers meet in track. Then they take the top 4 from each event and go to regionals. So we're obviously in a very tough area and a very tough region. They had a good year. Not quite what they had the last couple of years, but they had a lot of good young girls. Our boys, same thing. They lost a lot of good talent off the team the year before, but we had several area qualifiers. We had 4 regional qualifiers. And once again, Will Watson qualified for the state meet. We thought he had a sure gold medal. Unfortunately, he struggled at the end. He got up and still won the bronze medal. So what an outstanding career Will Watson had. 2 years in a row, he's medal at the state track meet. Our tennis last fall, in team tennis, we had a second place team and a third at the area tournament. And in the spring, we had 3 regional qualifiers. And we've got about 55 boys and girls participating in tennis. We've been talking about Lady Tiger softball. Most wins in school history, 31 wins. District champions, of course, again, by-district champions, area champions. We were actually regional semifinalists. We weren't semifinal champions. I put that. We were actually semifinalists because had we won, we would have been. That's right. We were 1 game away from going to the state. Yeah. So we were actually regional semifinalists. Of course, we've been talking about Sydney, who was the All-American, and just a fun group of girls to watch play. And going to miss Sydney, but there's a lot of good young girls coming up on that team. Baseball, we're by-district champions, and they had a good year. Didn't quite go as far as they wanted to, but they did get beat by the state champion. I think Dallas Jesuit won the state championship.
Semi-pro private school.
Yeah, private school. We beat them in the first game, first best of 3, and they came back and beat us the second 3 with 2 future Major League Baseball pitchers.
Yeah, exactly.
I think. But anyway, Coach Eddie Cornwall has moved on. We moved up Coach Mark Kruger. He'll be the new head baseball coach this next year. He's been with the district 22 years. He was an assistant on the state championship team in the 90s. And I've had nothing but positive comments from parents and kids, especially kids, which is the main thing, about Coach Kruger, and then feeling he's very deserving of the job. So again, not only were we successful, I think, as teams, but we had a lot of kids who have excelled enough and done well academically, well enough to be able to go on to the college level and participate in athletics. We had, I guess, maybe 4 signing ceremonies throughout the year. Total, we had 27 athletes that signed to continue their athletic career in college. And so we're excited about that. Side note, unfortunately, Zach Shackelford hurt his ankle in practice on Friday, I believe it was. He was, Zach graduated midterm last year, and while most kids were trying to decide who they were going to ask out for prom, what they were going to wear, he was starting center at the University of Texas. So we're really proud of him. I talked to him this weekend. He's hoping to be back by their opener, which is Notre Dame, and but it's going to be close. But anyway, always fun to watch these kids go on to the next level, and every year we've had plenty. This is the most we've had since I've been here. So
I think that's the most we've had.
And I love the way the district does, certainly not anything that I came up with, but do a great thing honoring these kids in these ceremonies. And always enjoy that. We had several All-State kids, Zach Shackelford, of course, in football, and Brooke and Olivia in cross country, softball. Wow, look at all those girls in softball. Now, some of them were maybe player of the year, some were first team, some were second team, some maybe the third team, but they were all named on one of the recognized all-state softball teams. And then, of course, swimming, Noah Henry was all-state and was also an All-American, as we talked about. Academic all-state, really, I don't know that I have a complete list. I've been talking with Tony Adams to try to talk some business into doing an accumulation of academic all-state for every sport. Because right now, the Texas High School Coaches Association recognizes an academic all-state football team. Somebody else may do something that may not for other sports, and, you know, I just want there to be like one company go out there, if y'all know anybody, like, whatever, State Farm, academic all-state. And you have it in every sport, and it's a big deal. Right now, some sports don't even have an academic all-state, which I think is really sad, because ultimately that's the goal, to be a great student athlete. So, anyway, we had these 2, 4, 6, 8 boys that were named academic all-state, and we're really proud of them. But there are several others that could qualify if we had enough academic all-state teams. Tiger Elite is something that Coach Mike Morgan started. Mike Morgan, I always brag on him because he is just my son would call him a beast. He's just a beast. He does such a great job with our academics. And so he came up with a way to honor student athletes who have A or B and B average. And so we got them T-shirts that say Tiger Elite on it. And then if they do it again, back to back, it says Tiger Elite back to back on it. It's really cool. So we do it at the end of each grade check, and we average 347 student athletes each grade check that were named to this Tiger Elite, which is basically an athletic academic honor roll. And so got a few pictures of some of the kids in their elite, Tiger Elite shirts. And we just have a lot of things. Kim Christie Anderson comes over and volunteers her time in the evenings to tutor our kids for SAT prep classes. We require all of our athletes that have a C or lower to go to tutorials several times a week. So we try to do a lot of things to help. We're always contacting the parents when they're in trouble, so hopefully between the teacher and us, we're double teaming them to get it going. This year we'll serve approximately 2,000 students in the grades 7 through 12 in athletics. We've got right around 1,000 students participating in Belton High School. I'm anticipating that to be around 1,100. 115 to 120 of those we're anticipating will come from New Tech High School, and middle school will be, I think, quite a bit over 1,000 student athletes in our 3 middle schools. So it's been a great year, but I'm really excited about the season we have, the staff that we have. We had some turnover, but I feel like we've got great staff in place. And it's been a great year, but I'm really excited about this year and really excited about August 26th.
You got any football previews you want to give us?
Well,
Anything you want to share about practices the last couple of weeks? Or?
practice.
What should we look for?
We have a great senior class. I don't know how y'all feel about these kids the class of 2017 as an overall, but a lot of times they kind of mirror each other. But I know in football, great group of seniors, leaders, just so much electricity, excitement, and positive reinforcement, and family atmospheres, a lot like our girls' basketball team last year, I felt like. And so that doesn't happen real often in a coaching career, so I'm really excited about our football team and just the way that they have pulled together, as well as some talent. You know, our quarterback, Peyton Manziel, is committed to the University of Iowa Hawkeyes, and so he is obviously a very talented quarterback. Davion Peoples will be the returning, probably the best returning back in the district. And we've got, Remington Lutz has committed to play at North Texas as tight end. So it's going to be a fun year. Really excited about it. Volleyball's doing good. They're competing well.
And then I just say one more. Want to give us an update on Jackson?
Well,
Son Jackson plays for the NFL,
Yeah.
Arizona Cardinals.
yeah, had a few catches the other night. Fun.
It's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, it is.
He's playing well. Okay. Absolutely. Come on now. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you being here, and thank you for that enthusiasm for Tiger Athletics. It is amazing, the community response to our kids on the court and the field. So thank you for what you're doing and leading that program. And a segue, the enthusiasm our community has for our students on the stage and on the field. So, Richard, why don't you talk to us about fine arts?
Absolutely.
Because this is, again, we're all Tigers, and what's special, one of the many things, but one of the things that makes Belton ISD special is we put a high priority on athletics, we put a high priority on fine arts, put a high priority on CT, we could go on.
Absolutely.
But we're not saying everybody's, we have high
Absolutely.
expectations for, so.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight and overview our fine arts programs and as we feed the right brains of these kiddos. And I'm just going to hit some highlights of each of our programs at the high school, middle school, and elementary schools, and hit a few highlights from our 2015-16 school years. We'll start with our high school band program. Somebody going to advance these, or do I need to do that? All right, good, awesome. We've got some new staff that we've added this year. We mentioned in the board meeting a couple back, Mr. Stein and Mr. Pearson are joining us. Nice to have Mr. Stein back as an old Belton band director back with us. We actually have an increase in enrollment with students in the band program this year, which is significant. Anytime there's a change of director, a lot of times those enrollments go down, and we're actually up. So we're real pleased about that. Some highlights from 15-16. We had the most number of UIL sweepstakes from the high school, our concert and marching bands in the region, and we're real proud about that. We also had significant increases in our region and area placements, including our first all-state band student in several years, Reagan Pilgrim. And she was a junior last year, and she's back this year. And she's also one of our drum majors this year. And also real proud that, it's not up there, but real proud that the New Tech valedictorian and salutatorian were both from the band program. So that's something, a point of pride for them for sure. Our middle school, this is what's kind of coming, the big fall production for the marching band. Look back to the Greek mythology, gods and goddesses of ancient times, and so they're putting in significant hours right now. My daughter's a part of the M100, and they're looking forward to sharing the show with you this year. Marching band, unfortunately, only has the opportunity to advance to the state level every other year, and this is one of those years. So we're looking forward to seeing what the fall has in store for us. Our middle school band programs, we have over 100 more students in middle school band this year across the district. So that's a significant increase in the number of kids that we have in band. We had 70, and that's not a misprint, 70 students from Belton ISD earned chairs in the all-region band, including 13 placing in those top 3 chairs. 2 of our groups earned sweepstakes, and of note to that, that's the 5th consecutive for South Belton Middle School, which means that's the 5 years that they've been open, and 11 straight sweepstakes for the LBMS varsity band. So really, really happy with the quality and size of our middle school band program. Our high school choir also has a significant increase in enrollment, about a 20% increase, enrollment increase for 2016-17. We had 29 kids advanced to the all-region choir, and then 8 more advanced to area, and 4 all the way to the all-state choir. And one of those is back. Adriana Hernandez is back with us this year, so we're looking forward to some good things from her. 2 of our choirs received UIL sweepstakes. The UIL sweepstakes, by the way, is a 2-parter. There's 2 parts of that evaluation at the UIL level, a concert portion and a sight reading portion, and they have to get top scores in both of those areas. So a very difficult thing to achieve. And they also had 11, they sent 12, I forgot to put this up there, sent 12 events to the state solo and ensemble contest, and 11 of those 12 earned gold medals at the state contest. So we're real proud of our choir. Our middle school choir, we've got some increasing, especially at North Belton Middle School. We've added a staff position at North Belton Middle School because of the increase in numbers there. Of most significant, from the previous school year, we literally doubled the number of students that had made it to the all-region choir, from 12 from the previous year to 24 in 15-16. So a very significant accomplishment for those kiddos and those programs, with 4 choirs receiving sweepstakes, including the first ever sweepstakes for the South Belton Middle School boys. So changing voices in middle school is a challenge, and anytime you can walk away with a sweepstakes at the middle school level with boys, that is a significant accomplishment. So Our orchestra program started 9 years ago. We did a little digging on this. In fact, their very first concert was November 9th, 2007. So in the grand scheme of Belton ISD, they're still kind of new kids on the block. And they started with just a few small handful of kids, and now we have over 220 students involved in orchestra.
Just a note to add,
Yep.
Dr. Kincannon was a major player in that happening, but one of the big concerns was that would have a negative impact on our band enrollment.
And it has not.
Obviously has not.
It has
We
not.
didn't believe it would.
Our
We
high
went
school
with it,
and
but that
middle
was a
school band
concern.
programs are increasing enrollments.
As this program is expanding. rapidly.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
More opportunities.
last year in 15-16, the high school program, because that feeds up, our high school program had expanded enough that we needed to go to a second performing group. Real good chance that that's going to continue. We need to add to a third performing group. And we had 2 students make regional orchestra last year, and that may sound small, but again, in the overall kind of infancy, still growing of the program, that's actually significant and a record for Belton High School. And those 2 students also advanced to the area level, which is also a new record mark for those kids. And they're back, I'm fairly sure. Both of the orchestras got a superior sight reading last year, and we're just really, really excited about where we continue to go with orchestra and Belton ISD, which translates great to the middle school orchestra program as well. We have almost 140 students just at the middle school orchestra, and that's another area in the middle school orchestra that'll come up here in just a bit, where we doubled the number of students from making all-region orchestra from the previous year to this year. We had 5 or 6 kids make region orchestra in middle school the previous school year, and we placed 11 in that group this last year, and 2 of those orchestras making sweepstakes. On to next one, AP Music Theory. Onward. One more slide down. We have we offer a very unique course at the high school, AP Music Theory, for students that may be pondering a course of study in music in college. We have a significant enrollment. 19 is like huge. In my districts that I've taught in before, an average enrollment, since it's such a specialized course, might be 5 or 6 students. And we have 19 students enrolled in this course. And also significantly, in some data that we pulled, between 2012 and 2015, 26 of 29 students who took the AP exam scored a 3 or higher on that exam. Wow. So that is that's a significant data point there. And I'll say, having taught this course myself for many years, it is music theory in college is a freshman music major killer. And it's not unusual. Like when I started at Baylor, we started with about 90 or 100 or so music majors, and by the time the fall semester was over, that was already about half. And most of that is because students are unprepared for the rigor and the challenges of music theory. And so us as a district being able to offer this to our students is a very, very significant thing to help ensure their potential success in college in the course study of music.
That's good information.
Theater arts at the high school. Also a significant increase in numbers here, especially in our technical theater program. Miss Melissa Edwards is a technical theater wizard. She built those costumes that you see there, she made. In fact, everything you saw in Beauty and the Beast last year, she made, or her kids made, all the sets. We didn't rent anything. She just built and made them all. So she has like 75 kids signed up for technical theater next year. And so she's just she keeps getting job offers elsewhere, and I keep telling her she can't leave. And she's still with us, so we're glad for that. So also our one-act play last year, defending back-to-back district champions 2 years in a row. And looking forward to defending that this year and hopefully making a trifecta out of that. So, and a musical for this year to be announced very soon. It's going to be a fun one. Middle school theater. We have over 500 students in middle school theater. That continues to grow at all of our campuses. Highlighted last year by something that Mr. Jones started, a BISD Middle School One-Act Play Festival. That's a highlight for those kids in the fall. Of course, MBMS always has their big splashy musical. They did Peter Pan Jr. last year, and they're looking to do Legally Blonde Jr. this year is what MBMS has in line. So All told, these schools did 9 productions across the middle school theater realm last year, one-act plays and fall plays and musicals and such. So we've got a tremendous staff, and really, really happy with our middle school. Our Magic Bells and our high school dance program just want some of the best in the nation. We have, actually, and this number's increased, we actually, I checked this just recently, we have actually 114 students enrolled for this year. Of course, the big thing last year was they were the national grand champions at the HT Dance Competition in San Antonio. And it just kind of seems like wherever they go, they're either first or second, and they're always walking away with the top GPA. And Ms. Hill is really, really proud of that. And because they take all the kids' GPAs when they go to these contests, and they compare them to other schools, and we always walk away with the GPA championship. So, and not least also super proud of Jasmine Ping. She was last year's co-captain. Also the Belton High School valedictorian, National Merit Scholar, accolade. Tremendously proud of Jasmine and our Magic Bell and dance program at the high school. Visual arts at the high school, we've expanded to an additional teacher at the high school, so that gave us more capacity for students in our courses. So we now have over 500 students in the visual arts at the high school. And since we have the additional teacher, that gave, again, more capacity for us to get more kids into the visual arts at the high school, where we had around 400 or so last year, and now we've got over 500 this year. Their big competition is called VASE. It stands for Visual Arts Scholastic Event, and it's kind of like a UL competition type thing. They take their artwork, and it's all adjudicated. And we had 25 superior medalists, gold medalists at the regional VASE last year, with 2 students advancing to state. And that's significant. I think that's about 9/10 of the students that we took actually earned gold medals at the contest. So. And then our middle school visual arts, they have a similar program called Junior VASE, shockingly enough. And they had 45 students earn superior gold ratings at the Junior VASE competition. And again, that was about 9/10 of the students that went and competed. So a tremendously high number of kids that are succeeding there at our Junior VASE contest. They also participate annually in the Texas Big Art Day, and of course we love our BISD Art Celebration here that's held in the admin building each year, and look forward to that every spring. Our elementary school, we have music specialists across the district, and so they're touching pretty much almost 5,300 students total. Just spectacular PTA programs and concert programs and musicals from all of our schools. A curriculum highlight, we implemented a new interactive curriculum called Quaver last year to great accolades from our kids and our teachers, and that's a pretty big deal. It's been a really, really big impact on the education we do with our music kids at the elementary school level. And then our elementary art program, we're getting kids touched with art across the district. They all have the opportunity to participate in the art celebration and the Texas Big Art Day. And that bottom picture I just think is unique, because Ms. Cox kind of came up with this with Ms. Sitz. But they had their own gallery at Southwest this year. They had an art gallery, and that was a really, really neat treat. To go up and down and see all the artwork for those kids there at Southwest that year. The Big Art Day, by the way, is something that's statewide. It's a kind of a date that's set around the whole state, and where art programs and kids and parents just come together and just celebrate the visual arts and create art. You'll see parents and kids side by side making art, creating art. So real proud of what we do in visual arts and BISD. All told then, we've got goodness, we've got almost 4,000 enrollments at the secondary level, and we're hitting almost pretty much every elementary student in the district. We're just really, really pleased with both the quantity and quality of what we're being able to offer to our kids in fine arts in Belton, and we're tremendously grateful for the support of our school board and our administration for what we do.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Excited about the new year, a lot of enthusiasm.
A lot of enthusiasm.
New opportunities.
Very much so. My daughters are excited.
It really is exciting to see every single program is growing.
Yeah, in fact, again, it's usually you would expect to see a decline in enrollment in a program where there's a director change, especially one that's, it's like a high school band. And the fact that the overall program enrollment is actually greater is significant. And, my daughters, they're in the band and one's in choir, and they tell me like, well, how's band going? New directors, and they have so many good things to say. They complain about it being hot, but that's kind of the teenagers, and it's hot outside, so. But all in all,
It really is hot outside.
it really has been hot outside,
That's
so
not
they're
being a
not,
teenager.
they're
It
not just
really
talking
is.
about being hot. This really has been. So this rain should be an interesting week for them this
Thank
week.
you,
so.
appreciate you.
Thank you
bringing
very
that
much.
report.
Appreciate your
Thank
support
you.
of Fine Arts Education in Belton.
Fine arts is alive and well in Belton ISD.
Yes, sir, it is.
And will continue to be a priority for us moving forward.
Appreciate it.
Because it impacts academics, and I
It
appreciated you
absolutely
pointing
does.
that out.
It absolutely does.
All right, well, we've talked about athletics, we talked about fine arts, let's move to CTE and talk about auto tech. Bill, you want to get us started on that? We're all tigers.
Yes, we are. At the June 16 regular meeting, the board approved competitive seal proposals for delivery method for the auto tech building and the cover at construction trades. And we have gotten those back in, and tonight would like to make a recommendation to the board to, actually, I don't know how much of this we had 8 bidders. We went through and evaluated all 8 bidders. We took a look at them. We looked at the qualifications. We contacted their references, and we believe that we have found our contractor. And tonight we'd like to recommend accepting the proposal from Wright Builders of Temple, Texas for base bid, proposal number 1 for the amount of $1,157,500. And to allow the superintendent to negotiate and execute a contract with that proposer.
Jared, do you have anything you want to add?
It was a good process, and we were really happy with where the numbers came in, so.
Bids came in, well, kind of good, right? Pretty happy with that, huh?
Within our budget.
We like being within budget. This has been an interesting project because we got started and then backed up and had a restart, but it still has come in under budget. And so on time, not so much, but we're going to get it done, right? What's our timeline for completion at this point?
We were talking February 17th instead of January.
February, okay. So we're just a month delayed on that? Great. Okay, well, thank you, and thank you, Phil, for giving us all that information, packet about that. So, we need a motion to approve the rankings of proposal as submitted, approve the expenditure, and authorize superintendent to negotiate and execute a contract with the highest ranking proposer, Wright Builders of Temple, Texas, for base proposal number 1 in the amount of $1,157,500 for RCSP 16079054141 for the construction of the Automotive Technology Building and the Construction Technology Outdoor Shop Project. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you. I have a motion, Mr. Camden. Second from, I wasn't sure I was either. I was having a hard time seeing it. Second from Mr. Crothers. Any other comments or questions? On favor of the motion, raise a hand. We got it. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Appreciate that. And thank you all for working on that project. We're excited about that. That's a big project for our students. Another growing program, great opportunity for our kids. So, thank you. Okay, let's talk about district and campus improvement plans. Dr. Brandon.
Well, good evening, and I don't have a lot of pictures that I can throw up there, but I will say that definitely what goes into the campus and district plans is what drives the work in the district and everything that happens, and I've said it before, but the work is taken very seriously to develop the type of plan that you'd be proud of in any school district to drive that work. And it starts all the way back in January, February, when Dr. Kincannon and the board, when you begin to set those goals for the year, and then the DWIC committee gets involved. They'll have 2 different workshops that they work through some of those goals and discussions. The district administrators, several meetings along the way, and then the campus administrators. All of that coming together and being discussed, and then a final approval from DWIC and then to the board at this point. So it's been several months along the way of improvements and revisions. So we'd like to kind of go through that with you. In Goal 1, long-range planning, maintenance, and operations. You can kind of see we've got the roof replacement, the auto tech facility that has been discussed this evening, the outdoor shop, the sites for the elementary school. A lot of these things, just right here that have been discussed this evening, the schematic design for the new elementary, the new programming and with the architects on the master plan for the comprehensive high school, that schematic design, the 17-18 school calendar options to provide some flexibility for professional development and the possibility of ending in May.
Thank you.
You almost didn't catch that.
No, I just,
Yeah, okay.
I'll believe when I see it.
All right. Provide oversight
You did say
of
possibility.
Yeah.
board-approved capital projects coming in on time and under the approved budget. The transportation system, discussions about the 2-tier, 3-tier, and any efficiencies and benefits there. Revamping the activity accounts and redefining those processes and procedures. Oversight to ensure compliance with state guidelines. Funding proposals, from just following the legislative funding proposals, changing out the district's enterprise phone and voicemail system, supporting the expansion of the one-to-one digital learning to the elementary level, to the 4th and 5th grades, and then the food truck that's kind of right around the corner that everybody will get to see pretty quick, and offering that as a second serving line to our students. I think which we'll see a lot of excitement with that as that comes out to the secondary campuses. In Goal 2, our student achievement, continuing the instructional rounds on the campuses, a lot of excitement about the instructional rounds, a lot of teacher buy-in in that process. And then in the next 2 or 3 bullets, you'll see just a real focus on redefining the math, reading curriculum around the TEKS and instructional resources. And then 3 bullets there all on writing. A large focus, a big push for writing, expectations for writing, developmental plans, writing portfolios, K-12, analysis of student writing samples. And so Dr. Lovesmith and her team have really laid that plan out for the district administrators and what that's going to take. Revising and including the ELP strategies, evaluating the AIMS program with recommendations for improvement, evaluating the different intervention programs across the district to include summer school, Jump Start, and Tier 2 support, a half-time homeless liaison through Title I funds to meet the new ESSA requirements, the Every Student Succeeds Act, a planning group that as we move into the possibility of the second high school, how does that affect new tech and all the different things that go on there with grade calculations. And that's right around the corner for some of those 8th graders that will be freshmen soon, and those considerations. High-quality pre-K, the pre-kindergarten grant program, and then the last 2 there, competing in the UIL Spirit Competition this year, and then adding a freshman cheer squad for 17-18, giving more students even more possibilities and opportunities to participate.
I want to add, Merle, under Goal 2, this might not be the right place to say it, but I want to say big congratulations to all of our principals. All of our schools met standard under the new, under the accountability system. Those ratings were just released, and not only did we meet standard, but we met standard in Index 1 and didn't have to go to any of the other areas to qualify for meet standard. So we met it at the highest level, so we're really proud of our campuses for that. We're still waiting on our distinctions. That data hasn't been released from the state, but appreciate the work that's happening at our campuses.
Goal 3, attracting and retaining high-performing administration, faculty, and staff. Of course, the rollout of the new T-test, the Texas Teacher Evaluation and Support System, updating and aligning the principal evaluation to new state standards. monitoring the middle school as the increased numbers into the district, monitoring those middle school numbers, making sure they align to state averages, analyzing teacher, staff, and administrative attendance data. Mr. Schiller's been kind of evaluating that data, and it's pretty, to look at that data and see how it compares to student attendance data and to see what relationships are there. So that's going to be interesting as we work to improve that ratio as well as we focus on our student attendance. New strategies for recognizing high-quality staff, some work in Title IX, reporting and identify education and training for staff, our new Aspiring Administrators Academy to begin to ensure a pipeline of highly qualified administrators as we need new administrators on campuses, contracting with the Anti-Defamation League to provide diversity awareness across the district for school leaders, and then develop and implement a plan to provide diversity training from school administrators to all our staff.
Get off that too far.
Okay.
I just asked Dr. Kincaid to make a note to put that on our future agenda. Charlie, I think we just volunteered you to come and talk to us about the Aspiring Administrators Academy. I'm really interested in the plans for that and then go on to follow up. That's an exciting program.
Yeah. In Go 4, safe and supportive schools, a focus on the civil, safe and civil schools implementation, the CHAMPS foundations, a focus for every campus across the district, training to develop and implement Tier 2 behavior interventions. Mr. Atmar's done some work on evaluating options and implementing an anonymous tip line for parents and students. Threat assessment committee work that's gone on most of last year and that will roll out this year on campuses to effectively assess student threat. Conducting a school safety audit that happens every 3 years, and so that's up from the Texas School Safety Center. Reviewing the criteria to be recognized as with school safety certification, also through the School Safety Center. Identify areas of professional development for joint administrator and school resource officer trainings. We had a training this summer, large group that really worked well together, hand in hand with our SROs. Monthly meetings with the SROs to discuss issues and concerns, and then an overview of the No Place for Hate curriculum and identifying more campuses that achieve that designation. Goal 5, shared partnerships and concise communication, recognition, and achievement of all stakeholders, which we've seen a lot of tonight. Certainly communicate out the long-range facilities plan, develop career and technical business partnerships with our Big Red, continue our Big Red community partners. Student recognition program to honor students who exhibit extraordinary community service and citizenship. So I think that'd be a nice touch as we go into the new school year to recognize those students. And Mr. Itz has done a lot of work in the launch of the Big Red Heart Awards to recognize high-quality staff. Goal 6 is our state and federal guidelines and compliance, certainly to meet all state accountability requirements. Our PBMAS scores that will be out soon. High-quality ELL instruction for our immigrant students. Identify and connect special education parents with resources to assist special needs students as they transition out of high school. Kind of a focus there and what we can do to help our parents. Conduct an internal focus group, again, to evaluate the AIMS program and then see how that could be strengthened. Senate Bill 507 regarding the videotaping in special ed classrooms, having that budgeted for and being prepared for anything that we need to do in that area. And then the implementation of the new computer science program. So within all of that, just like Dr. Kincannon said, meeting standard on every campus for the district, that being a measure that you see in Goal 2, right, a focus there. But you can see from tonight, all the other focus that's on just achievement of students in almost every other area you can think of, even outside of state assessment. And then I think the last page there is just simply our scores. Looking at those scores across the district, seeing what our goals will be for the next year. I think overall, there's a lot of areas in that advanced category, which were impressive. Dr. Lovesmith in the C&I department, when they put those scores out, and she's going to cover that in depth in September, but where they had that marked in green for all the increases, a lot of those increases were in advanced, which is impressive, and I think relates back to where we see that increase in AP scholars. So a lot of good work going on there. That's all I have.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments about the district or campus plans? Let me just thank you and everybody for the work on the district and campus plans. This is a huge amount of work. But I didn't say this at the beginning and should have. We're going to move to budget and tax rate and all that, but you have to have a set of goals and know where you're headed and a roadmap, basically, and that's what this is. This serves as our guidebook of goals and objectives and how we're and the tasks and the things we're going to do to get us there. And so it's important to plan. It's important to set goals. It's important to have measures and so that we know whether we're meeting the goals as we've established them. So I appreciate the amount of work it takes to do this, and I know that it's one of those extra burdens of paperwork, but it's really important to have it documented, available to everybody, and we do appreciate everybody working on that. One note, I know we've talked several times, even tonight, about our theme or talking about We're All Tigers and the diversity emphasis, and you mentioned a couple of places where that's significant in the district plan. I noticed that that's not in any of the campus plans that I saw. Now, I might have missed some of it, and I know that's a relatively recent development, and so what I'd like to encourage is that we push that out to the campuses in terms of establishing some goals of how to implement the We're All Tigers and the diversity and the things so that we can actually see that within the campus plans. Okay. I think that would be an important addition. Particularly because we've talked so much about that. We spent so much energy on that and like to see that. So, and again, the other thing I just wanted to mention was I love reading these campus plans and learning about the personality of the campus, especially in little areas like attendance incentives and engagement of parents, and maybe focus on a particular academic area. But there's some unique personalities of our campuses and how things are done, and it really is a good way of learning a little bit more about how things function on your campuses. So thank you for that. I hope you all read each other's plans, not just to copy and paste. And I know there's a fair amount of that goes on. I understand that because there's a lot of common stuff. But to see, because there's some creative, fun things going on and exciting things going on at all our campuses. So it'll be nice to see how that develops at the different places, different personalities. But in the end, we're all tigers.
Yeah.
So what we need is a motion to approve the goals, performance objectives, strategies, and activities as described in the 2016-17 district and campus improvement plans. Have a motion from Ms. Winkler, a second from Mr. Cowan. Sorry, Jeff, I'll get you on the next one. Any other comments or questions? All in favor of the motion, raise a hand. Passes unanimous. Thank you, appreciate that. Now that we have plans and goals, which are actually pretty, there's some of these are stretch goals and hard. Mr. Haggerty, you want to come talk to us about how we're going to fund these programs and activities? There's many places in the plan where they talk about funding.
Yes, sir.
Because you can't do a lot of these things without funding. So we had the public hearing, but can you walk us through our budget, kind of where we were before when we left last month and where we are now?
Yes, absolutely. And so we had the public hearing a little earlier this evening and talked briefly about how we built the budget, how we got to this point. And tonight we are bringing that budget to you for next year. Some of the items, of course, we have the handouts in there, but some of the items that we wanted to bring your attention to is, of course, item A is the budget itself. And I alluded to some information in here, and it is in the general fund. We have the 3-year comparison that's there for, that was in the packet, the budget by function, the percent total, by function, percent change, and then a summary of state finance aid, the template. And so our general operating formula, revenue has been incorporated into the budget totals using the latest version of the state funding template. The general fund budget totals include projected new positions. Other adjustments as cost drivers in the general fund total is based on $1.70 per $100 evaluation. We had increased property value of 8.47% this year, which is a significant increase in value for this area, and we were very happy to see that, and hopefully that'll continue on into the future. General fund salary expenditures increased due to increased enrollment and growth, and the salary increases for the employees for this year, based on 2% of midpoint. Increased employee contribution to the health insurance premiums were an expenditure, and a decrease in the capital outlay from 2016. With all that being said, we're proposing a budget for you tonight, or bringing a budget for your consideration that is adopted at the functional level for the general fund, the child nutrition fund, and the INS debt service fund. Upon adoption at the functional level, the board is required to approve any amendments reallocating funds from one functions to another throughout the school year. The board also approves any decreases or increases in budget totals. And so throughout the year, any changes that occur to this budget across functional levels will have to be brought to you for your approval. With that in mind.
Does anybody have any questions about the budget or anything that's come up in changes? Can you, page 205, or back up a page?
Yes, sir.
Go back. Can you remind again the fund balance number at the top on the estimated revenues?
Yes.
And the other uses of a negative 597?
Right.
Those are changes.
Right, the 37XX at the very top, for those of
It's
you.
showing as a revenue from fund balance.
Exactly, and what that is an informational item. That is, when we first spoke about the high school roof, we had discussed 3 separate phases to that, one occurred each year for the next 3 years. The first phase being completed now, then this is Project B. And we put it in there because at the time we had talked about it, we had talked about funding that with fund balance. Well, if you'll come down and look at the left-hand side of that column, you'll go down to function 81. It says facility acquisition and construction. That has $2,383,950. It includes an equal amount of expenditure for that 1,338,320. Because we had brought it to you and brought it to your attention and already discussed that, we already knew we were going to be moving forward to bring that to you for further action this year, during this year. So we just placed it in there so that it was visible. We had discussed it, and we wanted you we wanted to remind everyone that we had already discussed this. We would be coming forward this year with that particular amount, and so we just placed it there for additional information for you.
So the other uses of a negative 597?
Well, other uses, we're gonna transfer that. We have intentions of transferring that to capital projects to be utilized
Right.
on capital projects in the future.
Okay.
And that's a culmination of multiple things throughout the year, one being the change in the ADA, the change in our tax rate, and those sorts of things. And that's the net effect of that, and we're identifying that, knowing that as we go forward with the bond program for the 2025 plan, we're going to have expenditures out there that we're going to have to spend today or before the bond is actually approved and voted in and approved. And so we want to be prepared for those expenditures that we're going to have out there in the future.
So in the general fund, though, the revenues, the expenditures are not as much as the revenues because of the other uses.
Because we're moving it out.
But we are still it is still a balanced budget.
And if you
And
go
that's-
down to one line up from the bottom, and it says changes in current fund balance for the year is 0. So if we take all of these items into account, including the informational items that we brought over there, we have a balanced budget. I can remove the informational items, and in doing so.
And that's I guess the point I
Yes.
wanted to make sure that you made. This is a balanced budget
Yes.
of 94,517,110.
That's great.
But it's budgeting for 597 to go to fund balance
To be
for
moved
those.
over to capital projects in order
Not
to help us with
right,
those bonded
not to fund
items.
balance, I said that wrong.
Yeah.
Right, to capital. So it's a balanced budget.
Yes.
And you mentioned fund balance, so I wanna ask a follow-up question on that.
Yes.
And I know this is always a weird one.
Yes.
In the
Debt service.
unaudited, in the unaudited report, the monthly report we've got, it's showing 18 million.
That's that amended budget?
No, in our report, in tonight's packet,
Oh, I did.
I should have asked you this before, I know.
Consent.
Yeah, it's on page, I'm trying to remember what page. Sorry, I should have had this for you already. On page 73, it's showing an estimated fund balance of 18 million.
Ending, August.
8/31/16, but on that, you're showing 21.
In the unaudited financials, that's based on the amended budget, so that does not take into consideration the actual activity that will occur at 8/31. That is just based on the budget. So once we actually close our books and the final expenditure, there will be funding that won't be spent, that will go back into our fund balance as in salary positions that we haven't necessarily filled or able to fill at a cost.
So 21 is the projected number, not the 18.
That's correct.
Okay, so
We're
then
not gonna
on-
expend
in this
all of the
monthly report,
expenditures.
I realize, that's why, I realize it's a snapshot, but I just want to clarify the distinction, because $3 million is $3 million.
I understand.
You know, I mean, we're talking real money here. Our fund balance projecting at the end of this month is 21 million.
Once we've booked everything in that we're going to book in, we'll have expenditures we don't spend money on.
Right.
Between now and the end of the month. And so we are already projecting what those are. We've run payroll reports to see what our final payroll's gonna be, so we can project what the final payroll's gonna be. And so once we get to the end of the month and we actually know what checks have gone out the door, then we'll know what our final number is gonna be. And right now, with the information we have, we're projecting fund balance to end at $21,386,467. Today, that's what we're anticipating. And that's why we went ahead and budgeted to that amount.
So, board, unless anybody has any questions, what we need is a motion to approve the adoption of the 2016-17 school year general operating budget, child nutrition and debt service budgets as presented. And just to make sure that that's clear, that's a $94,517,110 in general fund, $5,933,788 in child nutrition, and $10,506,224 in debt service fund. And just again, to kind of clarify, those are the three programs that we are tasked with formally adopting, but not the total money that goes through the school district. They're federal funds, grant monies, in a general amount of, we had that on other schedules, and I shouldn't put you on the spot on that one, but yeah, hold that one.
I'll hold up on that
That
one.
we don't have to, that we aren't tasked with approving, because they're not tax-based, is the reason for that. Is that kind of clear? So is there a motion to approve? Motion from Ms. Winkler, second from Mr. Cowan. Any other comments or questions? Y'all gotten really quiet. All in favor of the motion, raise a hand, and that passes unanimously. Thank you for your work on the budget and for getting us there. Now that we have goals and a plan and objectives and tasks assigned and a budget to pay for it, the budget to fund it, how do we pay for it? And this is where we take up the tax.
This is where we're gonna take up the tax discussion. As we discussed earlier in the public hearing, we are going to propose to you this evening that we hold the tax rates as they were last year for $1.17 M&O and 27 cents in INS. And we would like to recommend that the board approve the attached ordinance, and we'll have, our recommendation will be that the board approve the attached ordinance, which I'll go to here in a second, and set the tax rate, adopting the rate at $1.44 for the 2016-2017 fiscal year. Tax rate is higher than the total tax effective rate of $4.3728 represent a 4.895 increase in the tax rate, which is where I would like to go forward here. And so this is the posting that we placed in the paper. And this, there we go. This is the ordinance that we're proposing be read into the minutes for a record vote this evening.
Okay, and just, board, I want to just mention a couple of things. One, if you get the newspaper, you may see all these tax rate postings, notices. It's really interesting to compare school districts. And many, they're all over the place because the Supreme Court ruled that that's okay for us to have wide ranges in tax rates and funds per students. But if you'll notice in there, right there, whoa, stop, whoa, comparison, no, go back up, or, yeah, okay, stop. The comparison of proposed rates with last year's rates has really significant, that's a very significant column. And if you ever want to kind of see where we stand compared to others, look at newspapers around this time of year and look at what tax rates are, last year's rate, proposed rate, local revenue per student and state revenue per student, and then there's not a total, but you can add those together and find out how much school districts are given per student based on a tax rate. And what you find for us, for example, is we have a higher tax rate and a lower total revenue per student than some other school districts in our area.
Nearby.
Nearby.
Yep.
That's, and that's what the Supreme Court said was fine, and even though it's inequitable and broken, it's okay. It's constitutional. That's significant. Okay? Let's see, what was the other thing I was going to say? I also want to explain this because we have to pass a motion, and the language isn't in our packet, but I've got it, that says, and Phil just mentioned, that we are going to increase our tax rate by 4.895%. And I want to explain why that is, because that's really confusing and it makes no sense if you look at the notice that we're required by law to put in. Because if you look at the rate to maintain same level of operations for us, we would actually need to raise our tax rate to $1.45,511 in order to get to rate to maintain the same level of maintenance and operations revenue and to pay debt service. We're not proposing that. We're proposing to leave it the same. But the state requires us to say that we're actually raising our tax rate because it's above the, quote, effective tax rate. The effective tax rate, and this is where I need to say this rather than Phil, I guess, but it's because I want us to understand this. The legislature in their infinite wisdom has decided, and the comptroller has decided, that we should talk about the effective tax rate like cities and counties. But as you know, cities and counties don't get state aid. They only have property taxes and sales taxes and other tax revenues. But so for us to calculate effective tax rate the same way as cities and counties, we have to remove state aid. That's accurate to do it the way the state requires it, but it's factually wrong because we get state aid. So our effective tax rate doesn't include the state funding, and so our effective tax rate would be at 1.3728. So we have to say that we are increasing our tax rate of 4.895% because we're above what we would be if we got no state funding. Now, if that doesn't make any sense to you, that's the point. It doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. It is what it is, though. And I just want everybody to be clear. We have to say, the good news is in the notice we had to post in the paper, it shows very clearly we should actually be raising our tax rate. We're not. The proposal is to leave it the same. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to say. But let me come back to that. But the proposal is to leave it the same, but the state tells us we should say to the public in our motion that we're increasing, which is legally right, technically wrong. Okay? So there you go, what you have it. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and there was some discussion about our tax rate that because of our increased valuations, could we have lowered our tax rate? The proposal from the administration, didn't mention this proposal from the administration, is to go ahead and leave it stable because it's below what our effective rate, the rate to maintain is, make sure I say that right, and use the surplus to pay down some debt, which is always a good idea, pay down debt, and that's a positive. And so we might could lower the premium, but the proposal is to pay down debt. So anyway, was that too convoluted to make sense? If you have any questions, Phil or Deanna would be happy to answer them. And there's formulas, and I asked them to sit down and walk me through the math formulas to how to get to effective tax rate, because
But we're not changing the tax rate.
we're proposing that it stays the same, but we're gonna make a motion to increase the tax.
Yeah, we need to
We're
be,
not changing the tax rate.
That's
that is
correct.
correct.
What the state says that we have to
No,
say.
I'm just
Yes.
overstating
Yes. So,
To be clear,
that's right. Did I say, I know you're not supposed to say all
No,
that
no.
stuff, but it's not a tax
That's-
hearing. We're not in the public
No,
hearing at this point,
that's-
so.
That's very good. And it gets better if you want to dig into it.
Yeah, we don't want to get in the weeds too far on that. I may have gone too far. So here is the motion that we have to do, and I'll give some further instruction on that in a minute. We need a motion that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of $1.17 M&O and 27 cents INS for a total of $1.44, which is effectively a 4.895% increase in the tax rate, and approve the ordinance as presented, that next page, that talks about the effect. Now, that's the motion that I need a motion on, but again, I want to mention, Amanda, $1.44 is where we are now, which is, by the way, below what the voters have approved. And I think it's important to always say this, the $1.17 M&O was voter approved through the tax ratification election in 2008. Thank you, always forget that. And the 27 cent INS is well below what the voters were projected in our previous bond elections. And it's the same rate. The motion says it's going to increase, even though the rate to maintain would actually be an increase, and so we're lower than that. Now, if you scroll down through this ordinance, it goes down and it says, this is where it gets really weird. That statement right above the adopted, so we have to say, we have to adopt this ordinance. Tax rate will raise more taxes for maintenance and operation than last year's tax rate, because valuations have gone up. Property values are up, right? That makes sense. The tax rate will effectively be raised by 4.895% and will raise taxes for maintenance and operations on a $100,000 home by approximately $54.60. That is a convoluted, crazy, well, I have to be nice about this. That is a formula that accountants use to calculate how you get to that amount if we got no state aid, again, which we do, so it's moot, but we still have to do it. So we're having to put this ordinance on our website and say this, but I want to equip you that if people come up to see you and say, oh, you voted to raise our tax rate, welcome to the board, you get to vote on your first tax increase. Really know, if you dig in and look at it factually, but the way the state makes us say it, it looks like it is. Okay, end of rant, unless you have a question for Phil. So what I need is a motion to approve the property tax rate to be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of $1.17 M&O, 27 cent INS, and total $1.44, which is effectively a 4.895% increase in the tax rate, and approve the ordinance as presented. Who wants to make that motion? Mr. Carruthers, thank you very much. Second by Mr. Camden. Any other comments or questions? All in favor of the motion, raise a hand. I can't wait to hear how y'all get to explain that to everybody. Did the best I could with it.
Thank you.
Call Randy. He's the only one who can speak for the board.
No. No. Oh, crud.
Here's his number, by the way.
And well, okay, I'll tell you this, I'd be happy to explain this to anybody who wants to talk about it, because it makes me mad when they do these kind of things, as you can tell. Okay, next item is the Board of Administration Operating Procedures. We talked about this last month, reviewed. Connie spent quite a bit of time kind of researching and formatting and playing with that, and kudos to her, and thanks for getting that already. We added A couple of things, based on some feedback that I need to make sure and get my notes so I don't miss that. A couple of things that you've seen. Does anybody have any comments or questions? We wanted to make sure we add in that we're gonna review these annually. We need to do that, we should do that, and so we've put that in, and we've added in some information about superintendent's evaluation, and then the board training, the commitment we made in our discussions about attending one a year together. So, any additions or comments about any of that? Y'all happy with them?
Yeah.
Great. Is there a motion to approve? Have a motion from Ms. Jordan and a second from Mr. Norwood. Any other questions, comments? All in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Passes unanimously. Good job, guys. Okay, thank you for doing that. Thank you all for working on that. Angela, talk to us about local policy update 105 and all that list of local policies.
There's not really anything earth-shattering in the update, it's just more cleanup from the last legislative session, and you've heard talk tonight from Merle about the new federal law that replaced No Child Left Behind, ESSA, which the highly qualified requirement for staff's gone now, and so you can imagine that was all throughout policy, so a lot of these changes include that language. But you'll see in your packet our administrative worksheet that shows which department has work to do to update how we handle things, and as you'll see, there's not much. We're usually ahead of our update, so, yes.
I'm sorry, I just realized I messed up earlier, but finish this and I'll back up. I made a mistake.
I'm done, yeah, unless you have
Thank you.
any
Does anybody have any
questions.
questions? This is, thank you for giving us the details and the information. It's very clear what's changed. I'm sorry, I had a
No, it's
aha. Okay, I need to back up because I got so revved up on that explanation, I forgot to do the tax vote properly. So we're gonna have to redo that. That has to be a record vote, which means each of us has to vote individually, yes or no, instead of everybody voted yes, obviously, because it was unanimous, but we have to do a record vote. So, I'm sorry about this, mess up your minutes. Sorry. But we're gonna back up and do number 14 again. So, I had a motion for Mr. Carruthers and a second, Mr. Camden? For the tax rate to be increased, that motion. We now need to do a record vote. Mr. Carruthers, yes or no?
Yes.
You still have to vote. Yes.
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 Yes. We got, everybody voted yes, so thank you for correcting that. I apologize. That was one of those weird, that's one of the new laws. We have to do a record vote. We'll tell you, the reason for that is they changed it to where it's no longer a majority. You have to have 60%, which means 5 of 7 would have to vote to approve any tax increase, even if it's not really one. It's our legislature, hard at work, representing us. Issues or concerns for future agenda or administrative reports? I'm sorry, Sandy, we'll clean those minutes up. Issues and concerns, future agenda or administrative reports? Jeff, you got anything? Nope. Amanda? Mike?
No, sir.
Sue?
We could on the 29th?
Absolutely. Future event. While you mentioned that, on the 29th, we'll have our board administration team building. It's a required training each year, and the exciting thing about that is we're going to Belton High School's Career and Tech campus and going to be learning together what our students do. And that's going to be fun and informative, and we're comfortable.
Pictures.
The Tiger? Thank you. 29. Yep. Jason? Okay, as a reminder, convocation tomorrow, meet the teachers are coming up, and open houses. First day of school next Monday will be exciting. Our board training and we will be meeting at Belton High School CTE building. Food truck, hopefully will be out front. Just tell you, it'll be out there kind of for tour and looking at before we go in, and then we'll convene inside. Hopefully it'll be there.
It's supposed to be
It should
there.
be there by then. I want you to have you put on your calendar on September 11th, the Care Leadership Network is sponsoring the annual back-to-school prayer service. Believe that's at First Baptist Church this year. We encourage you to be there. You'll be getting some information. Put that on your calendar. Our next regular meeting is September 19th here. At this time, unless I missed anything, at this time, and the time is 8:01, the board will go into closed session for deliberation about real property. I thank you for joining us. Good luck with your week.
Thank y'all.
It is 8:31. Wait. It is 8:31. We will reconvene in open session. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.